An interception. Relo.
What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy that's that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over.
What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty in the booth here along with Rob Roby. Unfortunately, unable to have Bill on the podcast with us, but per usual, the Relo recap is back every Wednesday. If you're new, we usually start at 8:30. I might as well start saying usually start at 8:45 sometimes because you never know. It's going to be one of those times regardless. But today it's 8:45, and as usual, we're going to recap the games that happened this past week. After that, we're going to get into the top 10 power rankings, the new upcoming schedule and our predictions, new devs that are taking place after mid-season. We'll talk more about that when that comes up. And then, of course, fun facts with Pat, where he's got an extra question of 4. And then we go into open questions. Rob Roby will not be able to stay with us the entire time because I'm pretty sure this podcast will run over past 10. But at the end of the day, glad to have you on, my guy. How you feeling?
Sir. Yo, I'm feeling disappointed. But looking forward to this week.
Yeah, all right. So let's go dive into last week of week 8. And I have the highlight games for you guys. So instead of just looking at still images, we actually got video footage to look at. All right. I wanted to add a graphic over top, at the bottom somewhere, but unfortunately did not have the time to do that. But the first game of the week that opened us up, Huskies versus Pioneers. Huskies were on the road taking on the Pioneers. You assume, especially with how the Huskies have been looking, oh yeah, this is an easy game. It's in the bag. Pioneers have been getting done in. No, sir. The Pioneers find a way to defeat the Huskies 14-12 and almost a record, what would have been a record-breaking performance by Xavier Eves had it not been for the 5 interception game that Javonte Gibson, who was on the Huskies, had. He had 4 of them in this game, and that last one really put it away. Very questionable decisions, though, here by the Huskies. I mean, at the end of the day, I can't say nothing but it's their fault they lost. They had many opportunities to win this game, and they just squandered them each and every opportunity, especially towards the end when they could have taken the game-winning kick, and instead they throw the ball in the double coverage to a guy who's already picked you off 3 times, and the Pioneers come up with the upset. 14-12. Huskies fall to 5-3 on the season, and the Pioneers, I'm almost even blanking on their record at this point. Let me see. Pioneers are 4-3. What's your thoughts on this game, Rob?
You want me to keep it real, or you want me to be the analyst here?
Yeah, be both.
You want me to talk about how great the Pioneers are and how golden Xavier Eves is, and how terrible the Huskies are. I can talk like that, or I can just tell you that I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. Smitty, you know how I feel, and we argue about this, and you got your own opinion about this, and I got my own opinion about this. You know how I feel, man. You know how I feel about the powerhouse teams and these teams that are just on the come up. I think it's inconsistent. I don't like it. And I it's inconsistent for a good reason, though, because you never know what you get out of the RFL, and I think that's what makes this league so beautiful. But I just don't like it, man. I don't like it. I don't like that the Pioneers, they destroy the Cougars 30-0. Then they ball out with the Sentinels and with a close game. The Huskies, I'm sorry, yeah. The Huskies, they ball out with the Cougars. They destroy the Cougars like the Cougars are just trash. All right, fine. Everybody likes that, right? Clap it up. Then they ball with the Sentinels, right? They ball with the Sentinels, and it's a close game, right? And then they come out here and they can barely score against the Pioneers, and they make Xavier Eves, look like the best safety that we've seen ever, man. You know what I mean? Corner, whatever. Best DB ever. You know what I'm saying? I can't with this game, man. I don't understand it. But, I don't like to talk about the game's mechanics and the other things because it ruins it for me. And then why would I play this, But I just don't like the inconsistencies that I see sometimes. And that's as far as I'm going to go about complaining. Big salute to the Pioneers, man. Xavier Eves was a dog this game. He absolutely he just shut this thing down, man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. This is the bad side of Holden Wolf. I've been watching this league for some years now, and I've seen Holden Wolf do this. And that's kind of why I was kind of like rubbing my hands together when Smitty got him, to the ARC North, because I was like, I know this guy can throw 4 picks in a game. I know he can do that. I've seen him do that, plenty of times. And I didn't think he would do it with this team, because this team just has such great route runners, great players all over the defense, the offense. I mean, he's got a supporting cast like none other. And I've said it since the beginning that the Huskies are a Relo Bowl caliber team, and he just comes out here and goes into Salt Lake City as if this is like Toronto, man, or Columbus. And
There's a lot. Also, it was the tough part about it was, when we talk about this game, there's a lot of different factors that alters games, because a lot of people want it, like you brought up, talking about consistency. Really, there is no consistency in this game, but for a reason, because of scenarios. I think people forget that scenarios happen randomly within this game. Sometimes a team gets a boost, sometimes the team got morale, sometimes a team's play better because they're on a cold streak, so they get some kind of boost so they can play better, because they're fired up. And those are real life things that happen within this game. I already talked about it. The big thing that killed them was I had switched the Huskies to the wrong scheme, and that was on me on accident, because what I was doing while I was re-signing players, one of them scheme fits said they wanted to be a vertical zone run so that he can have a higher chance of re-signing.
Can I stop you there for a second to respond to that? While I understand that, I just feel like these are pros, bro. This team is still the same team. And while I understand a scheme change can affect a team, like when we're talking about
but it's not like they couldn't have won. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. Like this game literally
should they
could
go
have been
from
won.
averaging 30 points a game to just 12 points a game?
That's why I should finish out my point of what I'm saying on why this happened. So they were moved to a vertical zone run, and I forgot to switch it back because, you have to go in a different section to do that. So I switched him to a vertical zone run. I was able to sign Tyrese Maxwell back because I know he's going to ask for more money if I didn't. I forgot to switch that back. They were in a vertical zone run before, and I took them out of it because they passed way too much in there. I want this team to pass, but they were passing way too much. And what did they do in this game? They threw the ball 65 times to tie the record for the most passes in a single game.
Yeah.
You're not going to... This is what happens when you pass the ball too much in the RFL. We know this. Picks are going to happen. You throw the ball that much, picks are going to happen. And you just, at times, you never know what type of play calling you're going to get from Madden. And I can't blame the game for that because that can happen to anybody, right? So
but
what
Xavier
I'm saying...
Eves,
he kept throwing to him.
I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying Xavier Eves is bad.
But look at the throws.
But he's fairly new to the RFL, right? I could understand if this was like Ash or... I'm sorry, I'm blanking on safeties.
But Eves is a solid player. Even though he's a second-year player, he's almost like an 85 overall with 90 man coverage.
But Speedy, when we say this though, when we say, when you get to the RFL, we're alluding to the veterans, right?
There's some dogs that are young though. Eves is one.
Yeah. I'll give you that. He is a dog. He is a dog. I'll give you that. It just to me, man, it doesn't make any sense, man. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, and that's the thing we talk about, like, because to me, that's why I don't get upset about outcomes of games, because I know why they happen.
I try not to get upset.
I understand exactly why they happen. And that is for me personally, that was on me. Because for one, they were in a zone that they shouldn't have been in, which made them liable to have this many turnovers, right? Well, I said a zone. They're in a scheme they shouldn't have been in. And that sometimes
what
you just have...
Is this?
They're still in the same book they've been running in Tampa Bay.
Is this Phil? This is Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Yeah. So, and they've looked great in Tampa Bay, right? But Tampa Bay is a pass-heavy offense. That's why I took them away from the zone, the vertical zone run earlier, because they were winning games and passing a lot, right? And there was a lot of big plays being made there. But also at the same time, the Pioneers had a boost coming in this game. Man coverage was escalated. Zone coverage was elevated. All of that was moved up. And you have a corner like Xavier Eves, who already has 90 man coverage and he was getting tested. And I understand why he would get tested, because I mean, you had Keith Guyton over there one time. He got picked. Of course, Keith Guyton, you would think he's going to beat every corner, right? But if you look at how he's throwing these picks, when we're looking at these games,
awareness. What is his awareness though?
I think it's like, if it's not high 70s, it's in the 80s. But at the end of the day, his man coverage is so good, the awareness almost doesn't even matter if he's playing man. You know, so he's in the man coverage, and if you, like I was saying, if you look at these picks, they're thrown right to him. You know, like this was thrown right to him at the end of the game. The first interception was thrown right to him in the end of the game. It was a dig route, and he was playing inside. Whose fault is that at that point? It's Holden Wolf's. You go to somebody else. I understand that's the best favorable matchup because of the receiver you got out there, but that's on him not throwing elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
this is just an interesting game, man. You know, to me, I don't really know. You know, I mean, I obviously, you know, I was here for it, you know, but like I just don't understand how limited the Huskies were in this game and how dominant with only a couple of touchdowns.
Well, looking back at those games though, Rob, like 4 interceptions, right? How many of those interceptions actually happened when the Huskies were actually moving? It really wasn't a struggle for the offense to get down the field. Yeah. They just were throwing picks and turning the ball over. If it wasn't for those turnovers, this is a completely different game.
You know, I'm a bit old school. I'm a bit old school with this, and I'm also just a fan. I'm a fan of. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of the AI teams, but I'm more so of a fan of the front runner, the teams that have been assembled. Because I'm just looking for teams that have been assembled to win. And I hate when they lose to teams that probably shouldn't beat them. But I understand that that's just the luck of the draw. It just happens. Yeah. Any given Sunday, as we like to say, or whatever. Okay, I get it. But like this right here is painful to watch, man. It's painful to watch.
Yeah, this was probably the worst.
Not
like if there's any shot I would take at Madden
after the offseason you had with these guys, like the Pioneers.
But it's not like I ain't souped the Pioneers up for this matchup too. Because like I said, I do both sides. I don't go easy on one side because I want a side to win. Both sides are going to be playing at their best.
You had a heck of an offseason with the Huskies, man. And I called it last season. I said this team, in my opinion, is ready to compete for a Relo Bowl.
Yeah, but how many? If these dudes just kick the field goal, right? If these dudes literally if they stopped running the ball when they had the game, so that was probably the most gut wrenching, but just crazy. Just it happens in Madden at times. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that was one thing where that's probably the most flustered I've ever been with Madden play call ever. But it happened, you know. So it's just like, you know, it could have happened to them. And it just happened to be the Huskies when they had the game in the bag. So
am I tripping? Did State have a few interceptions himself?
Yeah, he had 2.
It was him versus he was kind of going crazy.
He had 4.
You know?
So they were doing what they needed to do. They turned the ball over at the wrong times, and then they made the worst.
Who was Keith Guyton trying to chase there?
He was trying to chase Xavier Eves, who was fast.
Xavier Eves is faster than Keith Guyton?
I believe so. If anything, he's about the same. I mean, look at the momentum he had going as well.
He had Keith Guyton looking like.
And then there's another thing, fatigue
looking
sets
like
in.
Mitch running after a sandwich. You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous, man.
But also the fatigue, like I said, sometimes that sets in,
fatigue,
and
sorry,
things
Mitch.
like that happens. And then Xavier Eves' speed is ridiculous too. I think he got like a 95, 96, something like that.
Yeah,
so if anything, even if he is slightly slower than Keith Guyton, at that point he's got the head. Yeah. He's in front of him. And he's got the momentum, and they're both kind of in a sense. Well, Keith Guyton's more so in a sense is tired, and so he just couldn't catch him. So it was tough. It's definitely a tough game for the Huskies, man. Tough game. Definitely should have won this because now
I'm not a Husky fan at all.
They would have been leading the ARC North with this game. This is a should-win game. And another thing about the Huskies too, man, these guys are losing to the teams they shouldn't and beating the teams they should. You know, that happens though. You know what NFL team this reminds me of the most is the Steelers. We do this a lot. You know, we always, it seems like we underplay the teams because we're just, that's just them. We're going to knock them out. And it kind of like the same thing is happening right now to the Huskies. They lost to Armadillos because they took them light, thought they was up 14, up 13 points. They like, oh, it's over. Let them score literally the final second of the game to win it. And then you take a L like this, and then you lose a close game. It was a good game though against the Aviators where they lost 29-26. So it's just tough.
Got you.
Hopefully they flip it around because they play nothing but a bunch of tough teams, I think, from this point. So we'll have to see if they get that back up. But the second game, man, I got to come out here and play the bell. Oh, I got to play the bell for that first game, too.
I tried to tell you on the pod, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
the Baron. But
was I here last week on the pod?
You were on the pod, but another thing, too, is like I chose the Snowhawks because, honestly, at the end of the day, this is why I'm playing another bell for them. Y'all should have won this game. Like, just what is going on with the Snowhawks? This is disappointing. You know, this has been my gripe with Mitch. And I understand that the Barons, I've been said they have talent, but this is unacceptable. 2 back-to-back years you lose to the Barons. This team is not on top of the NRC West. You got the Elks undefeated right now, and you played them and lost. You lost to the Condors. Now you lose to the Barons, who are at the bottom of the bottom, who just came off an upset win against the Monarchs. Okay, cool. But you let them get a second one? You know, this is just very disappointing to see from the Snowhawks here. I want to give a big shout out though to Roland, because this is why I've been so frustrated. This is what the Barons should be doing. I'm not saying necessarily win, but they should be competitive in every single game that they play because they got players that can make that happen. And now you're starting to see them doing it. Why? Because there's no buffoonery going on. It's no craziness going on. It's literally him just putting the players where they need to be and having them ball out.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing right now. This could have been a whole different Barons team up to this point had that been done in the beginning. And, you know, I already talk about it so much, but at the end of the day, I'm very impressed with these 2 big wins that, you know, Roland was able to pull out. But this is all you need to do, man. Take this step from here. And like I said, we already understand your situation. You got to keep this going, though. This has to be a consistent thing.
Yeah, hats off to Roland. He's done something that I think is great for his longevity here in the league. And again, I'll say I don't want to see Roland Woods, out of the RFL as a coach. I can't just see him as just being a community guy. A lot of guys I can see being community guys, but I don't see Roland Woods as community guy. I think he's I love his personality. I love his sense of humor. I love just who he is, who he means to the Discord, and just somebody that has grown as a person, a human, with me here in the RFL, man. So I'm happy that he's taking the initiative to just do what's right, man. Reorder the depth chart, whatever he's done, and just try it. Just try again. Take it slow. Start over. That's admirable of him because it was looking pretty ugly for a moment. But I knew he would win this game because I feel, I feel that when coaches get together and they play against each other, there's a lot of variables you have to worry about. And I think that this is one of those games where Coach O'Brien, I think that he gets nervous when he plays coaches, but he gets nervous when he plays his friends. And I think that one of the main things that O'Brien tends to do is he kind of overthinks things a little bit. And I think that I'm not going to say he didn't game plan against Roland. I'm not gonna say he slept on Roland because I don't really know what he did beforehand. But in my mind, O'Brien is beatable, and I think that Roland is probably taking a lot more serious than O'Brien did, and it's just one of those things, man, where I felt like like the Barons want to beat the Snowhawks. Like that's just like Roland does not want to lose to Mitch, man. You know what I'm saying? So. It's just one of those things. Nothing against Mitch, nothing against him or the Snowhawks, whatever. But it's just that, knowing that dynamic as coaches and as friends, and Roland is thirsty right now, man. He's like, yo, I gotta win. I don't want to be out of here. So that was a game where I thought that Mitch probably should have. I don't know if he did or not, but he probably should have treated the Barons like the Thunderbirds, man. You know what I'm saying? Like he probably should have, did something else. But nonetheless, we can't control the outcomes of the games. And I'm not going to take anything from Mitch and say he didn't work hard, he didn't scheme hard, he didn't train hard or whatever. But it's just that the Barons were the better team that day. And it's just a hats off to the Barons for that. But I did call that I did call that happening, man. Like, yo, he's going to go in there and get a win against these guys, man. It's just nuts. So big hats out to Roland.
Yeah, big time win right there, man. Mitch, like I said about Mitch, like gotta win those games though.
Yeah, it's
Gotta
just
win
with,
those
with
games.
O'Brien. With O'Brien, man, it's like see, guys are just here. They're just here this year. Last year, they don't really know the whole situation with the Snowhawks. They don't know like how this team was like already a beast and how it amassed all these players out of nowhere, and it was a beast, and it didn't win anything because of inconsistencies with coaching, with O'Brien and suspensions, right? And so like if you've been here a long time, you know that like the Snowhawks are like on the verge of missing their era of the Relocation Football League, because they were at one point with the 99 Gidley one of the best teams in the RFL and the best team suited to beat the Thunderbirds, and they were better than the Explorers before, when Bill was still on the come up. But now they've kind of regressed backwards a bit, and they're not there. So you don't know that if you haven't been here. You don't know about the draft gate and the suspensions and who they had and who they acquired and the losses of seasons and all the and then that one year where they like went through and went to the Relo Bowl, right? Like because they went to a Relo Bowl within the last three years. You know what I'm saying? Like guys don't know that. You know what I mean? Like they went to a Relo Bowl and competed.
Absolutely
but then
destroyed.
Yeah,
and then
dismantled.
And that's why, like at the same time too, that year didn't win the didn't win the division
by a weaker team too. Wasn't it the
Elks won the division in that year?
Yeah, but the Snowhawks lost the Relo Bowl to the
Celtic Tigers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to say weaker team.
Yeah, I was about to say that's not. I wouldn't say that. Them dudes
I know you guys gonna let me say weaker team, but they went all the way to the Relo Bowl and lost to CT. Let's go.
I think their most impressive win, even that year, they didn't win the division that year. They had the easiest route to get to the Relo Bowl. Their only impressive win was against the Explorers, which was a big shock.
That was impressive,
they beat the Explorers.
That was
but
impressive.
After that,
got to give it to O'Brien on there.
You get blown out. So I mean, and to me, even though that's impressive, that was one game that season. They only got in because a team that was terrible won.
Yeah. Were the Celtic Tigers better than the Explorers that year? Do you really think they were that better?
I don't know. I don't know what the Celtic Tigers, honestly, then with Dre and them boys could do anything. They could beat anybody. Yeah, I'm not saying if you look at that team.
Beast. Yeah, Drake Cowell's a different beast. He's just like I got you.
Yeah, it's just that team, they had the right players and they were all skilled and talented that anything could happen. But if you look at them on paper, I would say the Snowhawks and Explorers were the better team if you're talking about that sense. Yeah. But the Bisons, we talking about 2 back-to-back wins. Barons got theirs, and so did the Bisons, as they were able to upset the Armadillos. I don't know what was going on with the Armadillos. Once again, these guys were driving down the field, nothing but field goals. They could not score, and the Bisons, they're getting little things going, but this has been the common factor on why they succeed. Mm-hmm. Torres playing a good game. When Torres is playing a good game, this team wins. When they have a running back as well, when they have their defense as well, locking up the way they did, they win games. And so I think that, the Bisons still, in my opinion, I don't see them as no playoff team still this year. But I will say, this is a very impressive win. Disappointed in the Armadillos, honestly. They had opportunities to cash out. They didn't. They came in here thinking, things were sweet. Obviously, I game planned them to play well. They just didn't. And Chum Lee, having a Chum Lee moment. He just had a Chum Lee moment in this game through crucial interceptions. And, it was all she wrote. They ended up dropping this game 27-12.
Yeah, I understand, this game, one thing about this game that is consistent is that teams that do bad in the red zone typically don't do too well here in the RFL, because it's just so many, it's one of those things where, like, if a team gets up by 21 points, the game is over. Usually,
just sometimes, especially in this match.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. And then it's like the RFL is a back and forth competitive league where teams that are they're not that good can still compete with teams that are really really good, which I absolutely despise, but it is what it is. But when you're doing historically, even with my team, like um, when we're bad in the red zone, we don't win games, and you cannot win on just on field goals alone. I mean, you can win on field goals alone, but it's difficult to win those games, and so I'm not sure what's going on with the Armadillos. I don't want to go blaming Chumlee, but I mean it's Chumlee, right? It's Chumlee, So anywhere he goes, he's gonna have the stigma over his back. He's just not a franchise quarterback. He's not gonna get you to a playoff. He's not gonna do all these big things, So
He'll get you to the playoff. He just won't win you nothing.
well, yeah, it's only win you anything. Yeah, not gonna win you anything in the playoffs. Get you deep in the playoffs. Yeah. So it's just one of those things, man. So you know, hey, hats off to the Bisons and Torres, who was getting absolutely crapped on the podcast. However long ago, I still think the guy has his juice. People trying to say he's over with, whatever, but he does things. He gets his wins where he can get them, and I'm just wishing the kid in his young career all the success, man, going forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, Bisons are now even at 500. They got a chance still to, I guess, if they can pull off some more upsets, they do have a chance to make the playoffs. They're 4-4. They got a couple NFL games coming up as well, which are auto wins. This is a tough loss for Armadillos, but they're sitting at 6-2 right now. They can bounce back from this, and their schedule honestly isn't that hard. This is the best chance for them to make the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. Moving on, we have the Riverhawks and the Dreadnoughts. Riverhawks, Coach Q racking up some solid wins against some coaches. Frankie taking a L here, man. The first half was ugly. A bunch of scores for the Riverhawks at first. The defense really stepped up later on for the Dreadnoughts, and then they started pouring on some points. But then shortly afterward, it was just too much damage done in that first half for the Dreadnoughts to be able to come back from. They end up falling in this game 41-33. I was impressed with the way, McBride was looking, of course, at first in the first half. That cooled down a lot in the second half. But the Riverhawks, I mean, they're pretty much still picking up where they left off. And that's a great sign, with Coach Machiavelli here, seeing that this team is still in that seat and that the coach has not, had this team not play up to standards. If anything, there's a chance for the rest of these games he could play even better. Can he take this team to the playoffs again? Can he make this team win more games in the playoffs? We don't know. There's a good chance that he could do it. And there's one thing about this game as well, is when you don't have KJ making all the plays. He made a play here. He's always going to make a play. But when you have to force Owen Jack to throw to other wide receivers, that's how you beat the Dreadnoughts. He is not going to be able to carry an offense completely to the promised land. And, that's not necessarily a knock. He's going to throw the ball anytime KJ's open. He's looking every time. Anytime he gets a sliver of space, Owen Jack is throwing it, and that's what you want him to do. But when it comes to looking elsewhere, unless his wide receivers are wide open, he can make some good throws from here and there. But if he's not open immediately and that pass rush is good enough, which we know the Riverhawks pass rush is crazy, it's got even better because they just made a trade for Case and Fine from the Lancers, who was an absolute dog. And so the pass rush is already great. It was enough to get pressure to him. It was enough to stop this offense from being any type of factor really in the first half. And they ended up walking away with this one in a high-scoring shootout.
Yeah, definitely a game. I'm sure that Coach Frankie, did not want to lose. You can only, tip your hat to, the manner in which the Riverhawks were able to jump on top of the Dreadnoughts and just really pounce on them, man. Take this game away. And what's mind-boggling, I know with Coach Frankie is that wow, we get this close, toward the end of the game, and we should have been doing this sort of thing all game long, right? Yep. Yeah, should have been doing this kind of thing. Yeah. Hey, we streaming. If anybody didn't know that. Oh, good. You good?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I was saying, it's devastating. It's devastating. I've watched, and I'm just speaking from experience here, man. Like, I've watched the Dreadnoughts for 4 seasons now. I've watched, 4 or 5 seasons now. I've watched, Coach Frankie, be in some crucial moments, man. and and it's moments with Frankie. Like I'm telling you, man, it's just a handful of moments with Frankie, and this team is a Relo Bowl contender easily. Uh, but it's 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 it pains you as a fan of the RFL to see the Dreadnoughts lose to the Portland Riverhawks, and I'm not gonna go out there and say Coach Machiavelli is the greatest coach ever and all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that. Machiavelli is coming in. He's proven that he knows what he's doing. He's inherited a decent team. He's doing some things that's making his team more competitive. It's not a bad team at all. But I think that the Dreadnoughts, man, this is like iron tested, battle tested, man. And Frankie is like in limbo right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, like because this is
Let
a
me
team that this is a team, in my opinion, that he probably should he probably should have the one up on because he's experienced. He's experienced. He's played the team. It's not
And
like
that's
this team
kind
has
of
a
one
whole
thing I
bunch of
wanted to ask you
bunch
about
of
that because I know
yeah
you were here in those years,
yeah
where the Dreadnoughts were. But honestly, if you look at this team, this is not the same Dreadnoughts team as it was then.
no, of course
It's
not.
good that they're getting KJ the ball back, but to be honest, in my opinion, I think
It's
the
regressed.
Riverhawks, which is why I
Yeah,
had them to fit. Well, did I have them the
yeah.
favorites to win? I think I did. Yeah,
Well,
which is why I had them the favorites to win.
yeah,
The Riverhawks are actually, in my opinion,
yeah.
the better team, and it's simply because the quarterback really isn't developed yet. What they had to draft CC Ekenechukwu, who wasn't present in this game because he got injured in practice, and then on top of that, um, they're already were weak at the defensive back
Mhm.
position. They ain't have enough. Their defensive ends, they're weak in that area. This team is actually suffering a lot of ways than most. And so when you add that together with a team that the Riverhawks have become, this isn't the same. Riverhawks were great in their back in the day as well when they had Hunter Mackey. Of course, when he fell off, they started going through some struggles. But we saw from last year, McBride was the guy, and they took him to the playoffs. They swept the Voyagers. Like this team has that capability of knocking off some high level teams. Dreadnoughts, on the other hand, they've been kind of on the downward spiral since back in season 5, season 6, a little bit like when they were making those playoff runs with Frankie. And so I just don't feel, to me personally, I this is everybody knows this is my favorite team. Period in the RFL. When I made it, I just love the Dreadnoughts. I think it was the best logo, best unis concept, and all that stuff back when I was, when Relocation came out. So I really love this team. But when you look at this team on paper, they're solid. Don't get me wrong. They could beat some good teams.
Mhm.
But I'm not shocked they lost to the Riverhawks here. I'm just not shocked because like I said, got to wait for Jack to develop. And it's kind of an easy game plan almost to beat the Dreadnoughts at this point. The run game and I've been saying this for a while now, the run game with Cam Perkins, he had a nice little solid game a week ago, and all that's good. But the run game is not developed either. So where are they really progressing on offense? Unless if KJ's not balling, this team's not winning, and that's pretty much bottom line what it's coming down to. I know he's almost impossible to guard, but when you have to keep relying on one player all the time, there's 11 players on that defense. There's 11. There's multiple factors that can affect him from not getting the ball. When you don't have any other answers, it's easy to lose, honestly, especially in this league. So, I just feel like the Riverhawks, they did what they were supposed to do, especially with that loss of CC. And even with CC, still a rookie, great wide receivers here with the Riverhawks as well. Nothing you want to say on that?
Yeah, I still just don't believe that. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Is what I'm saying. I've seen this team again. At a really good level, and like I say, Frankie is a great coach. Um, it's just I remember this team used to be like kind of like almost unstoppable. With the Matt Jones era, and you expect like coaches to kind of do this. You know what I mean? Go up. You don't expect them to be like this, and then just like suddenly just like this. So it's kind of mind-boggling, and I'm trying to empathize from a coach perspective what I've seen out of Frankie, where he's at right now in his RFL career, because I feel like a lot of us are in the same kind of position right now, with our teams, and it it's just a little bit I got like the question marks, like 3 question marks. Man.
It should be tough. That's football. You know, like,
what's going on, man? Like,
you know, if the teams that were technically the best on paper always won, this would be boring, you know, and this is the honest truth. Like, this is true to real football because this happens, man. You got teams that got stars, that got playmakers that should be winning, but it just, at times, certain years, it just don't click. And it's kind of the same thing because at times Madden just don't have certain players perform at that same level. And then sometimes it's really just like real life because you have some players that will be successful on every Madden they get on no matter what. And that happens in the RFL.
I'm gonna get a little bit more vocal in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But I don't want to argue with you about this, man. But I just feel, man, that it's still that word inconsistent and outlandish with some of the things I'm seeing here, man. You know what I mean? But I don't want to do that with the Dreadnoughts and Riverhawks. That's not a great example, as you pointed out. The Riverhawks are a pretty good team.
Yeah, and you know, just once again, because I've already talked on this, it really comes down to that. Like, honestly, I've been in this a long time, man. Like, you've been in it a decent amount of time with me too. So that's why I know this game almost like the back of my hand on why results happen. So when people, you know, say, and I'm not saying it always makes sense, but I understand exactly why it happens. Yeah. And it could be the smallest reason as to why it happened. Because here's another thing, and this is game I've been preaching to coaches, right? But it still doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you still have to do your work. Yeah. This game is about odds. Put your team in the opportunity to have the best odds in most situations you play in to win. And this has been proven by CPU teams, which are upsetting guys.
I hate when you say that. I hate when you say that publicly. Because look,
I can break down, man. After this, because it's a long, I could break down every game.
We want coaches to feel like they have control.
They do. And if they say they don't, that's cap. Because I am controlled. Like when you guys talk about these CPU teams not balling, that's the reason they are competing with y'all is because of what I'm doing. I know that the coach can have an impact. I'm dead serious. There's stuff that there's still some sauce that people don't know about. God, and it's about the way you go about it. But I can clearly see that with that influence, it has been consistent across multiple teams. And I have the advantage anyway because I control multiple teams. So I get to test and see this theory a lot. And it's consistent. I'm not saying it's going to guarantee the win, but I guarantee you it's going to be just about a close game. If not, sometimes you get blown out. It is what it is. But more times than not, I'm going to make sure that these teams are going to make some plays. No comment. But you have to put them in the situation. And it can't be the same situation for every game. That's where another area where coaches are failing. Trying to do the same thing every week. It's not going to work.
All of a sudden, this guy here is.
I'm telling you, I know my stuff. I know my bro. Look, all I'm saying, y'all better not let me win no championship.
What's that game?
Said you had the Huskies. Who coaches the Pioneers? Who coaches the Pioneers?
Smitty, yo,
I do
you're way too involved, my guy.
I should be. I coach these teams.
Man. Not a good look, man.
I set these teams up, and I can see what's going on behind the scenes. This is not just the first Madden. This Madden has been here. Like I've been doing this through each Madden. I see it's a consistent thing. It's something you have to do. I really found out more so about it last year, second half of last year. But there's some stuff you do have control. If you don't put your team in the right position, I'm not saying you're just guaranteed to win, but if you don't do what's right for your team based off of who you're going up against, chances of you losing is high.
Coaches just running out of the league right now, man.
Yeah, but and that's the thing. If they feel like they don't have control, that's the issue. So you're just throwing in any game plan. Somebody's like, come on, y'all gotta dig deeper. Gotta dig deeper.
Guys, brag game is like The Rock.
Look, but I can do that. I can really do like, and I'm not trying to sound.
Brahma Bull.
I'm not trying to sound like that guy, but bro, I really do have the most experience when it comes to this. I manage multiple teams. I test and see all this through multiple teams. When I do this stuff, most of the time, these CPU teams are winning. Were they doing that before? They obviously weren't because you were the guy that called them out. You said that these teams was getting punched on. as soon as my influence came in, these teams are winning now. So you have control. I'm saying.
I'm not even going to feed into that right there. I'm just going to let you talk.
I'm just saying you have control.
Next slide.
Coaches have control, man.
But
anyway, how about this? Beat the Bulls. But anyway, it's like, nah. But the Bulls, man, I'm going to say this. The first half, these guys were looking good, man. They were looking solid. Wade was looking solid. And I know y'all keep talking about Wade, but, Wade did look a little ugly at the end of this game. Had threw them 2 interceptions. But this first half was very defensive, a bunch of field goals. And then the second half kicked in, and then that's when CT just kicked in, obviously. And they were able to walk out of this 23-9. It wasn't really nothing spectacular really to talk too much about in this game. This is probably one of the least, it was exciting, but it wasn't that exciting. It was a good game. I will say that. It was an okay game to watch. Wasn't too much going on. Picked up a little bit towards the end, had a couple of big plays, but at the end of the day, it was just a slow grind to victory for CT as they were able to win this. They're 7-1 on the season. As for the Bulls, I think they're 3-4. Let me go check that just to make sure. Yeah, they're 3-4 on the season. So, yeah, not really nothing too much I could say about this game. Just CT getting it done at home.
Yeah, I don't remember the ending score of this game.
23-9.
Half of it, but at the end of the day, CT has always been a difficult team to beat at home, and I'm just kind of shocked that the CT, past the Drake Corral era, is still pretty solid. That's what really shocks me and amazes me that, because I thought that taking Drake Corral off that team would be like, his team's not all that, you know what I mean? But it shows that it can win. Justin Jones obviously is an amazing quarterback, except when I play him, I don't like him, But the team is still good, and you still have to really train, for this team and prepare for it and scheme. They've got some young guys who are making plays in the secondary. They've got obviously, QB. They got the halfback still.
Pat, did he just say Cap?
Receiver.
Who's putting Pat on lingo? But anyway, Pat up here using the word Cap.
Cap is crazy.
It's Oxy, my guy. Get out of here. Where's Fry at?
Controlling all these teams is one of the big problems RFL has. Oh yeah, he says you're controlling all the teams.
Shit.
It's one of the problems.
Yeah. We putting Fry on too. Well, Fry, he's already got that card. But
this guy's about to start a mutiny out here, man. You know what I mean? Yeah. Hey, but the CT is still somehow they're pretty good, and Coach Baxter, he learned that the hard way last week. I'm sorry, and I in my opinion, this is a game. In my opinion, this is a game the Bulls should win. But I know you're gonna say something different. I know you're gonna say something different, because of me. Because
it ain't got to be because of me. I mean, CT is the better team, though.
I flipped the scheme. I flipped this, and I did this, and I.
Look, and also look, when you talk about it, ain't got nothing to look.
You coaches,
I don't have to do that with CT though.
You act like I'm not.
I don't have to do that with CT.
You act like I don't. I've been in the calls with you, man. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the calls. I'm not going to air you out though. I'm not going to air you out.
Am I capping? You can try. But I guess you can't, because
where's Bill, man?
Where's Bill was on here?
Where's Torb?
Because look, at the end of the day, you could talk,
Where's
you
Jones?
can say that, but look at what these teams have done. Like, come on, I don't have to brag about CT doing what they just did. Literally, you talked about this team without Dre, right? What player is on this team that's not on this team that Dre when Dre was here?
Yo, Speedy, I'm not gonna do this with you today, man. I told you I gotta leave early, man.
I know.
I know. Limo gonna be outside in a minute, man.
We got time though, man. Look, you got about 30 minutes. But this is what I'm saying.
It's like we shoot dice. You try to keep all you want to bet. You try to keep me in the game.
But this is what I'm saying. This is all I'm saying. Is CT obviously is a great team because for one, Jones has already shown they're not the caliber they were with Drake. Because I mean, Drake was taking them to the Relo Bowl deep in the playoffs, right? Okay. Jones took him to the playoffs after his first year starting, right? His team is 7-1 right now.
Jones has always looked good.
Jones is solid.
Except when he threw those 4 interceptions.
And he's still developing. He's only 24 years old. So if you look at this team, though, who is on this team that wasn't with Dre? You still have Matt Niani. You still have DJ Burrow.
They
You
still
still
old, though.
have. They may be old, but the age don't affect the game.
I love how the Celtic Tigers never get old, but Denard Locker,
they're old.
He gets old.
He is old, but he ain't getting played. We didn't get to the devs.
And you know
we ain't get to that yet. That's gonna be a part. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't doing what these dudes doing. They've been doing it for 8 years. It's been 8 years. Matt Niani's been here for 8 years. Trey Worsley been here for 8 years.
Until we change the slide.
All that. You know what I'm saying?
Here till we change the
You can
slide.
sit there, but all I'm saying is CT. They're obviously a great team, man. Like I don't see how the Bulls good off season. But they're not beating CT, man. I mean, Dre is the only thing that's missing.
Hey,
like,
Baxter, I'm not laughing at you, Baxter. I'm laughing at the things that Smitty says. That's what I'm laughing at.
What's Baxter laugh?
I don't think Baxter.
He's not even in the chat.
Yeah, I know, but when he sees this and he watches it, I don't want him to think that I'm laughing at him.
Yeah.
I'm laughing at you because you're just so narcissistic.
Yeah, that's what people say when when I'm confident to know why things are happening. That's all it is.
Someone play some Bret Hart music.
You know what's
Shawn
hilarious?
Right now.
It's like this, man. It's like this.
Yeah.
When you know you're an expert, I can truly say I'm an expert in this style of play.
Yeah.
I've done it more than anybody. So I'm an expert. So it's almost like when somebody's done a little bit of studying and then they start challenging the professor.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
This is
saying.
This is the equivalent of someone buying a game genie.
A game genie?
Yeah, a game genie. All my old heads know what that is.
Yeah,
this is the equivalent of someone learning abacab, and then all of a sudden going on a rampage with what we call a cheat code.
Yeah, I mean,
let's
be honest here.
And then saying,
let's be honest here.
I'm an expert.
Not to you, but to the people in the chat, like that's been here. Even you, Q, you say that.
Yeah.
Y'all will not say that I'm an expert in CPUs versus CPU style of play.
Let me get hashtag ABACABB.
Why? Like honestly, be honest. Am I not accurate? Am I not accurate on that? How am I not one? You know, like that. That's just what I'm saying. I am one. Like
all the guys know what the game genie is.
Like I'm just being real.
Yeah,
I know a lot about this game, man. Like because I've done it for long enough. So I am an expert, man. Like I am. I'm not going to take that away from me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you earned a degree. I was about to say something. Earned a degree.
You earned a degree.
Yeah, I'm about to add another word.
You got a PhD. You got a PhD in EA Sports Simulation.
Man. Come on now. Like
that's an insider. If you know, you know.
Yeah, like I mean, I've been doing, and honestly, I've been doing it before the RFL even started. I've been doing it since 2010. This is 13 years for real. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm gonna ride with that. Yeah, I'm gonna flex with that. Yeah, I'm an expert in CPU versus CPU style play. What you talking about? Challenge my my degree.
Here, no, I'm not saying anything, man.
No, I know you not. I'm just saying some people in the chat, they try to say, I'm not an expert. Yeah, I am. But moving on.
Hey yo, I just found out what the two T's in Smitty stands for.
What the two T's
Tough
stand
talk.
Tough talk.
Tough
hey,
talk,
man,
Smitty.
It ain't tough
That's
talk
what the
if
two
you
T's
stand
for.
on it. It ain't tough talk if you stand on
Tough
it, still
talk.
smacking people, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, speaking of the tough talk, there's a lot of tough talk before this game, wasn't it?
It's a great segue.
Yeah, great segue, man. A lot of tough talk. My man cut a whole Undertaker / Lil Uzi Vert promo for this game, man. I told you what was going to happen if you lost this game, man. I told you in a podcast not to even go through with it. I didn't even know Undertaker and all that was coming through, y'all. My man cut the whole promo in the dark. Ha, ha, ha. All that. Then he gets the ha, ha, ha. In the first quarter. Look at this. Pick six. 21-3 first half. Man, it was tough. And these guys were talking trash to each other since, when was this? The beginning of the season? Like you and Tor, when y'all was getting into that?
Yeah.
Since the beginning of the season. Yeah. And Mix even brought up, hey, he did beat Tor twice. He was 2-0. Boy was putting up the, remember that? The binoculars?
Yeah,
still my man's one game off now because Wow, he not only did he just get the win, my man got the dub in Chi-Town.
Yeah, just disappointed, man.
This was disappointing.
Disappointing.
It was, and it was just tough because I mean, at the end of the day, this team was struggling. Like we thought that the Sentinels was
inconsistent, man.
And I don't think they're gonna make. I still don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. This schedule just gets harder.
But
they
had to. That's how the game does it. It wants to embarrass us every year. You know?
Yeah, it's tough right there for the Chicago Cougars, man. But also at the same time, shout out to Jay Moore. You know why this was the worst L you could have took?
Bro, no, you're not gonna shout out Jay Morris.
I am.
First of all,
yards.
Yo, if you do that, I'm gonna get mad.
How you gonna get mad? My man had 100 yards on you. You talk the most about Jay.
We've had conversations about Jay Morris. Jay Morris, I love you to death.
But
your player is trash.
You can't say that now.
Yes, it is. And I don't know how he's mossing.
How he been doing this all year,
bro? Abacab, Gang GD.
I need to Google
because I don't believe it. Tor and Tor knows this, man. I don't care. They got the win. I give it to Tor. I talk trash. I'm sorry. I apologize. On the stream, right? I apologize for all this stuff.
You took it like a champ.
I took it like a champ.
But you knew this was coming.
But look,
I told you this was coming.
Jay Morris, man. Even Jay Morris knows that his players should not be doing that against Keanu Jones.
I mean,
against my defense,
he shouldn't, right? Of course, obviously he shouldn't. But guess what he did?
Inconsistencies.
That's not inconsistent, bro. Sometimes you can make a 1% chance play.
This guy,
that's what he did.
This guy had a 75-yard moss.
I mean,
on Keanu Jones,
that's what he had
with less than 90 speed.
Look, we're not saying it's going to consistently happen though. Like, sometimes you just get that. It should never
happen, bro. That should never happen.
That's not like, reality though. Like
Jerome Bettis going down the field on Dion.
You think he doesn't have a 1% chance of that happening? I'm just saying.
I just hate that 1% kicks in against me all the time. I feel like the team that just like got the bad luck, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't normally complain,
but sometimes this happens. This happens.
This got out of hand,
everybody.
This got out of hand, man.
Bro, and
I couldn't believe this. Hats off to the Sentinels, man. There's nothing I could say.
Yeah.
All I could say is I was disappointed in the game. I don't understand, bro. I don't understand it. Like, I feel like I tried my best to put my best foot forward with this game, week in and week out. I did not take the Sentinels lightly. I told the team I was going to try everything I could to make sure that we have the better matchups and everything. But, my team gets out here and it just plays like trash. These guys, the defense, just the line camp. Well, I will say this. Rishwalski and Zach Harris were injured for whatever reason. I go back to the game this week. I see that I got full pads on. I never even switched that, so I don't know how that switched to full pads. I never do full pads ever, right? So that was them. But I'm not making excuses. But the sacks I could understand with my whole left side out. But regardless, the game just didn't seem right to me, man. Something was wrong with this game. But I don't want to take it away from the Sentinels, bro. Because they did that, and we talked a lot of mess. That's just what we do. We're gonna talk trash. Yeah. We're gonna win or loss.
Sometimes, this is what happens, though, man. Like sometimes,
and that's what happens.
Sometimes it just happens. Like, man, look. Even though I'll be look, I'm going to definitely talk my talk when it comes to CPU teams being victorious. But sometimes these CPU teams get did in, and I don't complain. Or I don't think about it because the reason why I don't talk about the CPU teams either when they get blown up because at times, even if it's a great team. It happens. That's football in real life too. Sometimes your team's not balling. That's what makes it so incredible of what Bill did last season. You got to be lucky to have an undefeated season.
You do.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be lucky. Like Tom Brady had to be lucky to win 7 Super Bowl rings. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And he just so happened that small percentage of chance he was lucky to win it 7 times. Small percentage of chance the Explorers were able to do it. Small percentage of a chance the Sentinels came out here. And did you dirty? And before you get in there, I have to say this was the tough part for you, Rob, because I was looking at it. You traded Tavon Bryson to these boys. You talked about Jay Morris. And both of them boys had 100 on your head. Talked trash to Tour. Got the dub by 10 points. And
Tavon Bryson, man. Look, bro. I don't understand this game, man. But anyway, Anyway,
You play the bell down. Bell season.
all right, give me another bell.
I
bells.
forgot. I did promise this in VC to dudes. We gotta play the Undertaker again.
What? Yo, one thing about me. One thing about me, man. Oh, that's how y'all gonna do me, huh? That's how y'all gonna do me? That's how y'all gonna do me. I'm putting cases on all you coaches. I'm putting cases on all you coaches. It's gonna be the free lunch program when you done with mix. Yeah. 35 to life. 35 to life. Yeah. 15 to 2. 15 to 2 is what I'm calling it. Yeah.
Gotta hit him. I didn't hit this part of the last one, but this has to come on this.
You're gonna be frying fish in Pelican Bay when I'm done with you guys. Yeah. Big facts. Yo, I love these guys. I love the RFL, man. I got it, Smitty. You know I gotta make it a show, right? I gotta make it a show.
Hold on, what?
You gonna do me like this, man? You gonna do me like this,
if you
man?
lost, I'm gonna have to do it, man.
Okay.
I told you, man. But yeah, I had to cut that.
Man. Yeah.
I had to cut that promo, man, because you cut the promo, my man.
But look, we done said all that. Y'all done fried mix up. I'm batter fried right now. It's all good. But check this out, though, man. Check this out, man.
What you got for us?
Hey, they was cooking with an electric stove, not a flame, because flame. Zero, my boy. So you know what? We got a W any old way, and I'm just happy that we got it. You know how it is. See, it's like Miami, right? We take small W's. See them see it. So hey, let me put up. What's my boy? Lami. There you go, right there. I just jacked that. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
I hope he laughs at that, man.
Yeah, Flame, that's tough. But I would say this in his defense. That boy still got $20, so RP the high.
Yeah, he did. He got $20. Yeah,
he got a bell high too, because you was talking crazy on this game, talking about getting your first touchdown, and boy, you got it. And of course, CP, you know you can't escape it either, bro. You used the G word, man. I told you about that G word. Bull guaranteed the dub and got a guaranteed butt whooping in this game. So gotta give the whole Cougars organization the bell and the L.
Yeah,
here,
we take the bells. We
right.
go warm around our neck. We go warm around our neck like beads, and we walk into the playoffs and beat your favorite RFL team. Give us all the bells. You want all the bells.
I was about to say something else, but that would have been a little bit too extra. But yeah, so tough. Final score was 37.
Hats off to Tor, hats off to Flames, hats off to Ken Roden, Blueberry Hill. Yeah, he's on the team, right?
Yeah, he's on the team. That's it.
All of the user, Sentinels. Big salute to y'all. I'm always gonna talk, no matter what. Doesn't matter, win or loss. And I'm always gonna, apologize when we wrong. Give y'all the love. That's just my personality. So don't take offense to it. Just embrace it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it's gonna be, man. But
it's good to continue talking your trash if you take an L.
Sentinels, yeah.
Yeah, it's good to talk your trash even after you take an L, as long as you show the respect. And so that's y'all did that. So definitely did that to y'all.
And another thing too is like people don't know, like Jay Morris, he's not around no much because he got real life stuff going on. But like Jay Morris and me, like we are ultimate trash talkers. Like me and him back and forth, the rivalry. So when I call him trash, like I'm not disrespecting Jay Morris. Me and him have had that relationship for years. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to beat him. He wants to beat when he was a Bison, right? He always wanted to beat us. I always want to beat him, and we got a rivalry like that. So it's nothing. Big salute to Jay Morris. You know, he killed us, man. I couldn't believe that.
Man, shout out to Jay, man. Big dubs.
Facts, man.
All right, moving on to the next game. Much closer than the last time these guys played. So no bells given out here to Coach Ramos and the Monarchs, and surely he didn't want 3 blowouts back to back. Played these guys in Memphis, and man, for a second I thought the Monarchs were going to win, but Reed Wagner, man, he's looking like the clear-cut MVP. This offense, the Steamers team is officially back, undefeated. Held on in a close one here against the Monarchs. Won by 3, 20-17 was the final score. Just a great game. This is what you want to see from the Monarchs too. Very uncharacteristic of this team to take those 2 blowout losses that they had. Of course, the first one against the Steamers, I still would say it was a shock because you don't want to see the Monarchs, even with the Steamers, getting did like that. And they showed you that they were capable of more with this game, right? They really could have walked out and won this game. But, you know, at the end of the day, Clutch Reed had made the right reads and ended up walking out victorious. But, yeah, what's your thoughts on this one? And what's your thoughts on the Steamers right now? I mean, obviously looking like some front runners to play and compete for the championship. This team plays the Explorers and the Thunderbirds this year. So, like, they're getting battle tested and they're dominating. Haven't played those guys yet, but when we see how they compare there, you know, that's going to really tell us a lot. But what's your thoughts on the Steamers right now?
Man, I'm telling you, the Steamers are looking like the team from not last year, year before. And they're just right back at it. I'm really liking what I'm seeing. A lot of snapping these guys. I knew that this is the second game they played with the Monarchs, winning that first game by a long shot.
48-13.
Yeah, you know, so obviously this was going to be a close game. Both of them knew that. Obviously the rain is going to play an effect in it, as always. But you know, you like to see the Monarchs hang around. Coach Ramos, I'm not sure, you know, what he did to stay close with this game. But at the same time, you know, he's a new coach, and it's good to see him, you know, still competing and still here, you know, after that burst game. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say that, you know, the Steamers though, they absolutely still look good. They're showing that they can, you know, take the top off, you know, of games, and they're also showing that they can stay in games, and those are very good, you know, traits to have. In this league, you know, that you can get the blowout wins and you can also stay in games and battle back and, you know, get the points when you're down. Everyone, you know, hates to be down, you know, hate to be down, you know, but having a QB that can come in the game and win the game for you at the end of the game is an awesome thing here in the league because, you know, as we know, we talk about blowouts, not a lot in the RFL. It's a lot of close games. And so you want to have that QB that can get those wins. So big salute to, you know, the Steamers. Looking pretty good, but I'm not gonna do them. I'm not gonna do that. I didn't do it with the Gunners last year. I'm not gonna do it with the Steamers this year. They've got to battle the big boys. You know, they got to battle the big boys. Do I think they're a playoff team? Absolutely. Do I think they could go far? Absolutely. Can they beat the Explorers or the Thunderbirds? That's the question. You know,
yeah, I'm gonna go out and say this. I think this is the best Memphis Steamers team assembled. Up to this point that they've ever had. And they've had some good teams in the season. And honestly, still the same players, right? And the reason why is because this defense has even jumped up to a whole another level as well. These players are developing. This is one of the younger teams in the RFL. Yeah. And you got that veteran quarterback in Reed Wagner. Reed Wagner, he's not underrated, but he is underrated, right? We talk about all these other quarterbacks, but Reed Wagner, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, is the second best quarterback in RFL history. And I say that because, you know, we talk about Gidley and how successful he was. Obviously, right now he's going on a little bit of a decline. You know, we talk about Jabrick Jackson, what he's been able to do because he, you know, multiple time MVP. Reed Wagner hasn't won an MVP yet. This clearly seems to be his season. But, you know, Jabrick Jackson, he was not an elite passer that much at all in his first, you know, 4 years. And then he started becoming one in the last 2 to 3. So he really made an impact more so like kind of like a Michael Vick type of deal. You know, you won't compare Michael Vick to Peyton Manning and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Or Tom Brady. So that's kind of what I'm saying there. So if you look at the quarterback situation, though, this guy consistently, even with the beginning of his years where he threw picks, this guy averages almost about 5,000 passing yards a season. And if Reed Wagner is not on this team, the Steamers are not successful. And he is clearly deserves his respect for sure at this point.
I want to talk about this, man, because, you know, as you said, he's probably the second best quarterback in the league. Look, man, this guy here, first of all, he's 239 for 319, which is like remarkable, right? Then on top of that,
you're not looking at his stats through the game right now, are you?
No. Okay. I'm looking at it through the Beyond
cool.
Sports, right?
Yeah.
Then on top of that, right, he's got 25 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions is what I have here. Now, if I remember yesteryear, this guy would be around 16, 17, 18, interceptions, and you and Jones would be on the phone, man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the biggest thing about his picks that killed him, it wasn't like he threw a decent amount of picks, but it was the times in which he threw picks that was just like, wow, you lost the team the game. So that was really what held him back. He honestly hasn't been doing that for about 3-4 years now, and he's up there in those talks, but obviously at that time, who do we have? We still have Brady Hudson in his prime. We still have Dre Crowell. We still had Hunter Mackey. These are guys who were consistent all throughout the career. They fell off the tail end. He's still here. And honestly, in those years, you compare his numbers to those guys. Of course, he had more picks, but this guy was throwing a lot of touchdowns. And this guy was throwing for a lot of yards, and he's really up that to an extremely high level right now. He's been doing this 5,000 yards just about per season for like 3 years now. And, I knew he was under that last year, but this offense is centered around him, pass heavy. They don't even need to run the ball like that. If they run the ball, it's overkill, and Amir Williams is starting to become that back where, he can really bring that to this game. And, Reed Wagner, honestly, and you look at it, what Pat put in the chat, he is the all-time leading passer in the RFL. And he's just, what is he, 31? 30? This dude
30.
30. This guy still, in my opinion, has got 3 to 4 more years. Even more, probably got 5. Probably got 5. I ain't gonna lie. If he's passing for that long, this is going to be the guy in the record books that's going to be hard to beat. He's right now on pace to break Brady Hudson's record, which is still crazy that they played 1 less game, and he still has to pretty much duplicate his performance again in order to catch him. Brady Hudson threw for 49 touchdown passes in season 3. That's almost 50 touchdown passes, man.
Nuts.
And that was in season 3, right? On Madden 18. In this era, you get an extra game, so it's a little bit more, I guess, doable to do, but it's still hard to throw for 40 plus touchdowns in this league.
He's got 2,700 yards already, too.
Yeah, so he's on pace again for 5,000 yards. He's on pace to throw for 50 touchdowns. So this dude's goated. He's clear Hall of Famer. And, just he showed that and clutched this game out at the end with that 20-17 victory, man. So shout out to Reed Wagner, man. Haven't been giving him his props, but the consistency at this point and the season he's having now with those guys gone, I give him respect for now and the past because he's shown that he has been a consistent figure at the quarterback position. If we're talking about pure quarterback, I'm still going to put Dre first, but Reed Wagner is number 2, hands down.
Yep.
All right, so we talk about that game. We got 2 more games left. And speaking of the Steamers being in a close rundown for their undefeated season, the Thunderbirds they also won by 3. Crusaders seem like Marlon Marshall, where is this guy at? Well, he is missing a phenomenal season his players have. And I haven't seen Marlon Marshall around.
Who built Marlon Marshall, the Crusaders? Who built that team? Because I have some doubts, man, whether or not he was built correctly.
Ooh, he was built right. Yeah. Oh, talk about the way he was running. This dude is running crazy, man.
He's have to check this guy, make sure.
Check his weeds. His nickname is Juice.
Correctly.
He's on it.
Sorry, Juice.
He's on the Juice.
Sorry,
but,
Juice.
He's
a huge upgrade from Clemson, my guy.
He's going crazy.
You're doing pretty well, but we're going to be sending those doctors out there, those medics, to check you for steroids.
And I got to play the bell for the Crusaders too, man, because honestly, this was a game they should have had if they kept feeding them. They were feeding them a decent amount, then they stopped. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like the pass game wasn't working that well either. But you see Isaiah Ingram there. He started getting hawked down, and the sacks are coming. See, Isaiah Ingram and Max Knight, they're not on top of the league in sacks right now. But remember, they only played 2 RFL games getting all auto wins. So this is where you're going to start seeing a bunch of sacks get piled on, right? But, the Crusaders, man, this team shows time and time again, they've got the capability of competing with anybody. They have that Celtic Tiger effect that I was talking about, right? Mm-hmm. Defense has been a problem, but I'm going to be honest. Defense is looking real good. right?
Yes.
And I'm talking about real good in the sense where it's better than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
And they're only going to continue to get better. They got a bunch of young guys. So, yeah, I got to play a bell for Ben Wakefield for that pick, too, that he threw right there. He had 4 picks in this game. But then again, that's on him for sure. They had 2 guys over there. I'm not sure why he's doing that. But it's Thunderbirds defense, man. This is going to happen, right? I'll give the Crusaders credit, though, for at least, making it that close. This was a game, like I said, they should have had. But then LC3 really showing that leadership, throwing his team. This was the first game he threw interceptions in. He threw 2, and he threw 2 touchdowns, which was a game winner. This guy is obviously the driving force of this offense. Devontae Sharkley had an amazing touchdown, too. And, man, there's nothing really I could say too much about this game, but give the Crusaders their flowers for making it close. And then the T-Birds, man, 8-0 at this point. Obviously not going to ask you the same question like the Steamers. We already know T-Birds locked and loaded. This team could win a Relo Bowl. We know this. But remains to be seen. That's why we saw them just take down the Explorers. So this is the clear-cut #1 team right now. But we also need to see what the Steamers are going to do, right? Because now they're undefeated. It's got 3 undefeated teams left. T-Birds, Steamers, and Elks. I mean, we all feel and know that the Elks going to fall first. Right?
I don't like to measure the Thunderbirds until the playoffs anyway, man. I'm used to expecting
regular
them to
season. You can't
cleaning the floor with every team that they play, other than the Explorers and sometimes the Gunners at times. But I'm just not really impressed at all with the Thunderbirds. This is normal. This is natural for them to be undefeated, right? So I got to see them in the playoffs, because the playoffs over the past few seasons has been the Achilles heel. They cannot get that. They cannot get out of that NRC, the NRC championship game, and that's going to be the tell of the tape for them. And actually, didn't they lose the division?
They lost in the divisional round to the Gunners.
Yeah, to the Gunners. Yeah, so they got to really show me, man. I'm not looking for a division game, and then obviously the championship game. I got to see what's up. There's no shade to any of the T-Birds. Great organization, but they should be 8-0. They should be 9-0. They should be, undefeated. They're one of the winningest teams in the league. They are the winningest team in the league.
Yeah, tied with the Explorers.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for those high-stake games. Big
Yeah.
salute to ESJ and Silverio and all the rest of those guys out there.
Yeah, nothing really too much to say here, but still a great game by the Crusaders. I'm looking forward to see how they do. I mean, right now I believe they're 4-4. Had some tough games, just didn't go their way towards the end. But this team, I would love to see them make a playoff run too. They just, they have that talent, man. Just falling on the tough end of things. The last game we had the Desperados taking on the Explorers. Now, me personally, I did not get to see this game much at all.
Game,
no, the final score was 31-10. Never. It's one of the few games ever that I don't get to watch. But I watched it back as I was cutting this up a little bit, and I just pretty much saw that at the end of the day, you had some mistakes by the Explorers. Then they just turned it on and did what they were supposed to do. No reason they should even be close or losing this game. And honestly, they showed that. And like I said, you still have to prove that when you get in that game. And that's kind of what we talked about. Like, teams should not be losing to certain teams, but you still have to prove that every week in every team you play. This was in the rain game. We know rain games can get out of hand. Daryl Johnson had some crazy scrambles that just wasn't, he lost the football there. But he also made some really great ones and kept his team in the game. Just easy win here for the Explorers, 31-10. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I believe the quote was Bill somewhere picking his nose hairs. Because he's bald, so can't pick the hair off his head, right? So that's what the quote was, because they were down 10-0, and Bill starts being Bill in the chat. You know what that is?
Now I'm gonna play the bell since you brought that up. I'm gonna play the bell for Coach Back, and he said this so he get people in the stand. But everybody in the Discord was already pretty much at the game. Dude's gonna, if you wanted to add everybody, get people to the game, could have just added them. He gonna say, upset coming, 10-0.
Yeah.
Come on now, Back. I'm telling you shiesty. We know you shiesty, Back. We know you shiesty.
Back is slick. Back is slick, man, guys.
We know he's slick. We know he's slick. He want to act like he ain't.
Slick Back.
He want to act like he ain't. And then look, he said there was 38 people. Then he tried to take credit for when it was 67. You know daggone well that. Well, how many is that? That would be 29. You ain't add 29 people with that comment to the game, bro. They just pulled up. No. So like at the end of the day, like, you know, he's gonna poke the bear at you. Like that's what he does. Yeah, he gonna poke at you.
I mean, you know, the guy hits me 3 minutes after my sim loss. You know? But I'm just saying, it's just got bad timing. But the guy,
everything can't be a coincidence.
Sim lost on a Wednesday. I simmed it. You know, I lost the game. Blah blah blah. Yeah, back's in 3 minutes later. Hey man, good luck this weekend, Rob. that's the kind of stuff this guy does. Man. Hey, good luck.
Lie. You can't fool us, man.
Good luck this weekend, Rob. I hope you get the win on a Wednesday night, a random Wednesday night. You know, that's just back though for you. Slick back. I don't know, man. Anyway, but what I was gonna say, man, is like I need down the chat now. I don't know, Mix.
That was on night shift.
Yeah, that was on night shift. That was a full night.
Night shift, man. I went around that PlayStation.
You know what I mean? I went around it. You know what I mean? Houdini over here.
Good timing, man.
Madam Cleo.
As soon as that game was over. Hey, good luck, man.
Yeah, hey, good luck, man.
and then posts a poll about, yo, you think the Sentinels gonna bounce back this week? Come on, dog.
Fake
news. Come on, man. Come on, back.
Anyway, man. Hey, even if it's a coincidence back, we still gonna blaze you, bro, for this, man. Cause come on, man. This guy,
come
man.
Come on now, man.
Hey,
hashtag
Mix, man.
night shift in the chat. Yeah, put the hashtag night shift.
Hey, Mix. Hey, man. How's your dog doing? By the way, good luck this weekend. This guy, man. Just checking in on you, Mix. Hope you're okay. How's your blood pressure? Is it okay? How's your blood sugar, huh, Mix? How's it doing? You know, ARC North shenanigans. But yeah, Bill was actually going crazy. Down 10-0. You already know Bill. He just starts going in the towel, man. It's going to be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches tonight.
Always got to play the bell for Bill when he's doing the most. Yeah, you know. But we know
Bill just starts going into like that mode, man. You know what I mean? And, I think Bill's kind of like Charlie Brown when he gets upset. I think he gets like a little bit of a circle wrinkle up here on the top of his head. You know what I mean? And he's just like, he's flabbergasted at what's going on because he can't be down.
I got a piece of hair in that fool.
Yeah, he can't be down 10-0 because if he's down 10-0, then it's something going on.
To with the Desperados? That's when you play that clip from when he cussed on the podcast.
Yeah.
Dude,
are you serious? You know, because he starts getting chatty. Because Bill's not like a chatty guy, right? Until things are going wrong. You know what I'm saying? When things are going wrong, then Bill, he's like Jerry Jones. He starts walking down to the ship, walking around the ship, pacing what's going on, guys. You know what I mean? Looking around. But then the game started turning around, man. You know what I mean? They had them boys, man. Next thing you know, 31 unanswered points.
He starts sitting there cheesing, talking about some. Yeah.
I'll be in the press conference, guys. I'll be in voice, guys. Yeah, I'll go in voice. Yeah, you know what I mean. So,
but it's a good bounce back.
He's not laughing at me right now. I know he hates when I'm not.
But it's a good bounce back though for the Explorers. I mean, tough loss. The end of that 26-0 streak. But at the end of the day, this is how you bounce back if you're the Explorers. Don't matter about the 10 points, man. You already knew this team's going to come back, you know. But, that is it for the recap. Just to make sure you know, it's past 10 at 10:06.
Yeah. I got to jump up. I hope you guys enjoy the comedy hour here.
Yeah.
But I do have to leave tonight, man. But I normally wouldn't do this, but I have to jump.
All good. Hey, appreciate you coming on for last week's recap, man. You be safe,
Cougars, we're going to be all right, man.
Nah.
All right. He said, no.
Talking about some Cougars, man. Get out of here. You lost.
All right, man. All right, I'm going to holler at you guys, man. I'm out of here, man. All right, man. I'll holler at you.
All right, let's get hashtag mix in the chat, man.
Yeah. Salute to you guys, man. Love you guys. League first.
League first. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the top 10 power rankings, and I'm glad he's leaving because he'd probably be hot off these top 10 power rankings. But let me see. There's actually been quite a few changes that I'm about to explain here for these top 10 power rankings as well. Let me see. I'm waiting to change the cameras here. But so we got the top 10 power rankings I'm about to go through. Okay, here we go. All right, solo dolo time. So top 10 power rankings go like this. It's a lot of changes. Let me go pull it up. It's a lot of changes to the power rankings this week because of the losses, right? You saw the Cougars lose. You saw the Huskies lose to the Pioneers, right? And the Aviators, they lost to both of those teams, so they can't get any higher. They drop. Bulldogs are on a bye week. They got an auto win and stuff like that. But when you look at this team overall wise, I mean, Bulldogs, honest on paper and everything else, they're still a very talented team that I think can beat the Huskies, can beat the Cougars, can beat the Aviators still at this point. So I had to move them up over those guys, especially after those tough losses. And, you know, the Aviators were also on an auto win. I jumped the Celtic Tigers over the Voyagers. I know both of them won, but honestly, when I look back, I probably should have had the Celtic Tigers over the Voyagers to begin with. And the reason why is because when I look back at the games and who they played, you know, the Celtic Tigers defeated the Bulldogs. The Voyagers lost to them. They have a better record than them, and they actually played more stiffer competition up to this point. So for me, you know, at that point, I was like, well, yeah, there's really no point for me to have the Voyagers up here at this moment over, you know, CT right now. So I had moved CT up, and in the top three are the same. Elk stand neutral, just showing them respect because they're undefeated at 7-0. They had a bye week this past week, so going to be back in action this week, and I think they're playing the Condors, and we'll, you know, of course, we'll talk about that. But yeah, so these are the top 10 and how it's going and my reasoning behind that. So yeah, we could, you know, of course, I don't have anybody on here to debate and talk a little bit about this with, but you know, you guys feel free, you know, bring up whatever thoughts on this that you have, you know, in open questions, or comment when I repost this on social media. But that is the Week 9 top 10 power rankings. Else getting some love too on a poster with Latavian Worrell, man. All right, so that is as the top 10 power rankings. Let's go ahead and dive right into the schedule, right? We've got a loaded schedule again, guys. This is a total of 3 times 4, so that is 12. So we got 12 games this week, guys. And so that's going to be action packed. So we got let's see, 5, of course, live as always, and then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 premiere games, which means we're going to have 3 games at 1, 3 games at 4, and then 1 game at 6. All right, the first game to open up Week 9 is going to be an ARC West Division rivalry game between the Red Dragons and the Voyagers. Very solid game. Let me go ahead and pull up the spreads that I had posted up for this week so I can see what's going on with that. All right, here we go. Yeah, so I have the Voyagers winning this one at home simply because, you know, right now they're the front runners. They have the home field advantage. And I just feel like the Voyagers will come out victorious. I got them winning by a field goal or more. So that's my prediction there for that game. The way I've kind of, I'll go through in each game for details on how I feel like it might play out. I feel like Anthony Savoy is going to have a tough day against that Voyagers defense. He might do a little decent. Who knows? I had 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, could be 2 for 2. The run game, DJ Scott, Voyagers against the run has been very solid. So it's like I just feel like the struggles that hurt the Red Dragons the most is in the past, and even up to this point with their offense, is going to be prevalent in this game. So they're not going to do a lot of scoring. I don't believe so. And if they do somehow end up winning, it'll be a low scoring game in which they win by, because their defense has been good enough to stop the Voyagers. When you talk about the Voyagers as well, Glenn Hay's not looking the same, right? But he's not looking bad either. Glenn Hay is just looking like the regular Glenn Hay, you know, from the years past. Came off a conference MVP season. But I will still say, you know, Glenn Hay, you know, I think he's going to be more successful offensively than Anthony Savoy will in this matchup, based on the defenses that each other is playing, you know. So I just feel like they're more prone to score more points. So since that's the case, I'm rolling with them, not by too much. I'll take the field goal. Next game, we got the Aviators and the Riverhawks. Aviators back in action. Excuse me, gotta mute myself so y'all don't hear the coughs. But the Aviators, I actually have the Riverhawks winning by 2 or more points. They got the home field advantage. I like the way they looked against the Dreadnoughts. Other than that second half, they cooled off quite a bit. But they have the firepower to work this defense. And I think that they can move on this defense well enough to the point where they should be able to compete with the offense of the Aviators. Also, the addition of Kason Fine to this Riverhawks defense, an X-factor linebacker on top of Key Endeavor. Remember, he's a stud. He's a beast as well. So you got two pretty much the same elite style linebackers on the same team. That's going to bring a lot of pressure. And I feel like he's going to use that to his advantage to throw Marquise Washington off as best as they possibly can. It's tough to throw Marquise Washington off. I think he's still going to have himself a pretty solid day. But then again, you look at this Riverhawks defense. Look at the secondary. Freddie McAllister, A.W., these corners on the outside are monsters. You know, they're tough to get by. They're tough to beat. Understand? And then you look at the wide receivers of the Aviators, are not that great. You know, you only have Colt Cruz, who's really starting to get into his groove and everything. Has been off a couple weeks. We don't know how that's going to look. They changed up their offensive playbook, I believe, as well. So we don't know what's going to happen here with the Aviators being on the road with all that going down. So 2K, we already know he's always going to seem to go off. But with this linebacker addition, who knows? I mean, that's a lot of heat up front. Their D line isn't the greatest. The D tackles are solid. You know, with Carson Stevenson, D ends are kind of lacking. But you know, maybe you're going to have Kason Fine, who played off the edge, and Key Endeavor, who also plays off the edge, occupy those positions. And you got Charles Turner, a beast of a second-year linebacker from Alabama, still in the middle, along with your first-round draft pick in Dion Bowe. So I think that this defense is primed for success. I think they have the opportunity to put up the points. It's all going to come down to McBride, honestly, and I think that this defense isn't talented enough to slow all of that down. Also, Dre Shivers, he needs to be pretty successful running the football. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Riverhawks by 2 points. Snowhawks and Desperados. Snowhawks got to win this game, man. And I got y'all winning by 7. Better win by 7. Or you just better win, period. There's no reason that this team should lose to the Desperados. They're going to be on the road. It's always tough to win on the road. But the Desperados, you saw them. They had a nice little start in the rain and everything against the Explorers, but got decimated, got destroyed by all these other teams this year. The era of all of that playoff run talk for this team is over. And so the Snowhawks, who are trying to get to the playoffs, who knows, and with Coach knowing what's at stake, this is a game you got to win, right? And like I said, 7-0, not really too much to talk about here. They just are more talented, and they should be able to win by a touchdown or more. Thunderbirds and Tigers. I understand that the Tigers, you know, I love the confidence this team has. They have a, hold up real fast. I was about to say, I know there's not an ice cream truck outside at 10 something in the morning. But anyway, I said in the morning, at night. But I was losing my mind for a second. I guess that's something on TV from outside. But yeah, the Thunderbirds are the Thunderbirds, man. They're always going to destroy the Tigers, man, at this level. And so I got them, but you know, I do have this score by a close margin of 5 because that's the way that the T-Birds like to play games. They play games close. Their offenses are going to be all too flashy all the time. The defense is going to just keep you at bay with like 10 or less points. And they've been doing it all week. At the most, any team has scored against them was 17, and that was the Explorers. Everyone else has scored 10 or less. You know, and I know they haven't played many games, but if the Explorers can't get more than 17 points, and other teams are getting less than that, I don't see the Tigers really doing much of that going on. So I got the Thunderbirds by 5 points here. Pioneers and the Armadillos. All right, so Armadillos, embarrassing loss. You know, well, I wouldn't say embarrassing. Bisons had a little bounce back the week before, but the Bisons, you know, they got that win. Armadillos were off their game. They couldn't score. But I think they get it together here at home. And despite the Pioneers' upset win over the Huskies, that's on the Huskies that they lost that game, man. They should have won that game. They should have kicked the field goal. And, you know, those interceptions were just terrible. I don't think that happens again. I think Chimley has a bounce back this week. And also on top of that, win that they had against the Huskies, they still only got 14 points. So, I mean, it's not like the Pioneers are going to do anything impressive here. I don't see that happening. I don't think they get the win here at home. And I got the Armadillos by 4 or more points. All right, Steamers and Wizards. Steamers, man, hot team. They steaming up for real. The Steamers, I got them winning by 5 or more points. I know that the Wizards can get very competitive at times. We're seeing a little bit of that at during the season. They did take a loss earlier this season to the Elks, but the Elks are undefeated, so we don't know too much about how that team's looking. But and they have the home field advantage, so that's why I went down with 5 or more points. Steamers should be able to get that done despite being on the road. All right, we have the Diablos and the Lancers. The Diablos, I have them winning by 4 or more points. The Lancers got their first RFL win a couple weeks ago, I believe it was, because I don't think they played last week. But they got their first RFL win. They got the home field advantage. They're looking to try to build off of that. I think it was last week. It was last week. Yeah, so they got it last week. No, it was 2 weeks ago. I'm going back and forth here. But the Diablos, they also have been on a bit of a losing streak. They lost their last 2 RFL games, and this is the week they got to come back. Last time they played the Lancers, they punched on them boys, man, put up 40 easy. And I think that they're going to be able to come back and get another win to sweep the Lancers this season. Like I said, 4 or more points. All right, Shamrocks and Monarchs. This is going to be a really good game. The East is just got great comp, man. Shamrocks, even though they don't have the best record from year to year, they're always putting up a good game, being close to winning, even competing against the best, making it close. And we just saw the Monarchs, come off a heartbreaking loss against the Steamers. That was also an NRC East Division rivalry matchup. This is the matchup you really want to see for excitement, I think. I think it's going to be just as exciting. Tom Wilson, Preston Schrader, the talent, we got the rookie first-round draft pick, and Keegan Meyer Jr. there. You got all kinds of guys to look forward to watching in this game. First time coaching James Ramos. I got the Monarchs winning by a field goal, though, at home. Nothing really too much I could say about this game. I think it's going to be competitive, back and forth kind of game, and the Monarchs should be able to be victorious at home. All right, this is another game that I think is a big-time watch. Gunners versus Barons, man. Gunners versus Barons. Got to play the bell. RIP to AR, because I know that boy wanted this matchup against the Barons. But unfortunately, Cookie did not crumble that way. But we'll have to see if the Gunners can get the victory over the Barons, because the Gunners were able to get themselves a win as well. So we'll see if they could keep their momentum and fire going. And we just saw what these last 2 weeks what the Barons been able to do. So they've had a blowout game against the Monarchs, and they had a solid win, 23-16 over the Snowhawks. And we know that the Gunners also have traded away pieces. A few pieces they traded away was their center, I believe it was, and their corner in Tavares Golson. So with those pieces going, offense, the line wasn't all that great. It's going to be just a little bit worse anyway without Sims there. The secondary, the defense was already kind of struggling. They bend a lot, but don't break too often, but they're breaking a little bit now. So I'm actually going Barons here, man. I think the Barons with the home field advantage, with the way they've been looking, I think they can get it done, man. I got them by 3 or more points over the Gunners. I just feel like even though the Gunners got that talent still on that offensive side of the ball, Barons look anything like they did these last 2 weeks, they should be able to win that game. All right, moving on. Miners and Cougars. Cougars talking about bouncing back. Saw Rob before getting out of here. I got the Cougars, though. I got the Cougars by a field goal, and it's close for a reason, of course, obviously seeing what just happened. And then the Miners, I love what Miles McCain's been doing. But, we're going to have to see. He's going to have to prove that he can lead this team over a team like the Cougars. And until then, obviously, that's when I could say, okay, they got the capability of beating the Cougars. But I do think it could be a close game. I really do feel like it could be a close game. But I'm taking the Cougars while they're at home in Chicago by 3 points. Sentinels and Bulldogs. At this point, if the Sentinels lose a single game, they're out. They're not making the playoffs, right? And then they have to play the Bulldogs twice. This is the first time they're playing. Then they have to play the Celtic Tigers twice. I don't see this team making the playoffs, man. Just with that alone. Then they finish the season out with the Bisons. And I don't see them winning this game either. I got the Bulldogs by 6 or more points. Very good win they had against the Cougars. That defense, I think, is going to be able to really give them an opportunity to potentially win. The Sentinels swept the Bulldogs in the regular season last year, though. So I will say that. But can they do that for 2 years? I don't see that happening. With that home field advantage, too, and getting off that bye week, the auto win, I think they got it in the bag. Bulldogs, I'm going to go with them. And then the undefeated streak on the line for the Elks, right? Undefeated line on the streak for the Thunderbirds and the Steamers as well. And I got them the favorites to win. But the Condors and the Elks, I also gave the Elks got the Elks to be the favorites to win this game by 3 or more to keep their streak going at 8-0. The Condors, if they, I don't know. I kind of feel like this team this year hasn't really had that same spark like last year. They did kind of do the same thing. They did upset the Snowhawks earlier this year, but I just don't feel like this team is. I feel like they're very much capable of losing to the Elks while they're on fire like this. So, yeah, I'm gonna take the Elks. Nothing really too much for me to say there. I think that McCoy's gonna do. I don't know. I feel like McCoy's gonna have just an okay day. I feel like he's just gonna have an okay day against the defense. Might throw for 2 touchdowns. See him throwing a pick. I see the run game being okay. I don't think anybody's breaking over 100 yards on the ground. And I see their defense possibly getting carved up by the Elks. Run game with Darius Martin, who's currently leading the RFL in rushing. It was probably not anymore since he had that bye week. And then also Latavian Morrell, who's been playing well with some solid receivers out there. So I'm going to take the Elks. And those are my predictions for this week. Teams that are on a bye week that will not be playing this week, either on a bye or an auto win, are the Black Knights, Crusaders, Explorers, Bulldogs, Explorers, Dreadnoughts. What am I looking at here? Bisons, Huskies, and Bulls. Man, boy must be a little bit fatigued here or something. But that's it for the schedule. I'm gonna actually put that back up afterwards. But at this point now, it's time to talk about the new devs, right? So what happened is after season 7, I stripped all developments away from players that were over the limit. And it was one of the toughest things I had to do because what was plaguing this league was too many high overall players, and they were growing at an exponential rate, just too fast, right? And so the only way to fix this was to lower devs and to play within Madden's rule set. So 75 X factors, I cut it down to like how they have it in the main menu on Madden franchise. Got 100 superstars and then 500 stars, right? So that's our space for our caps. And we did that at the end of the season. And now from here on out, we'll have mid-season dev changes and end of the year dev changes. We've reached the mid-season part, and let's go ahead and get into the new devs. I'll only point out the guys that are, I would say that are known in most categories. I'm not going to literally go through this entire list, guys, because this would be a lot to go through this entire list. But these are guys who had devs that are dropping down to normal, mainly because of age. You can see Javonte Gilliam on this, was once an X Factor, dropped down to a superstar, had it up to this point. But even though he's doing pretty okay, he's still not a feature back or anything. He's taking up space, had to take him off. So he fell. Carlos Berry has fell because he's honestly hasn't been doing too great in RFL play. I look back at statistics too. You can look at players in the the Neon Sports link where you're looking at the stats and say, like, how's this guy dropping, man? He's got a 4-yard per carry average, 6 touchdowns, and all these yards. But what did he get in RFL games? That's what I looked at. If the RFL play wasn't looking spectacular, then I took devs away. And so I took the superstar dev away from Carlos Berry, who's been a great back, but now he's 30 years old. He's starting to fizzle out. Andrew McIntosh was a great receiver for years, but really hasn't done much of anything either in RFL play up to this point. And I think it's that time where, you know, he starts regressing. And so we took that off him as well. Cedric Martz has honestly not doing anything right now. Same deal. So I'll just point out some names and I'll speak on certain players depending on if I feel like they need to. We got Marvin Heaney. Trey Mason has dropped from superstar to normal, so that should have an impact on the Lancers as well. We got the Tyler Agramonte. He was not playing at all this year. Got benched for Leo Moon. So obviously not going to keep that superstar dev. Hayden Harold, long time solid safety in the RFL, but too old, not making enough plays. Barron's defense was struggling. Ricky Vaughn, there were some exceptions I made for second-year players because second-year players got to retain their devs coming in. He had a star, but if I don't see any chance at all that this player is going to touch the field soon or anything, then I just take the dev away. And so he was one of the few rare ones that got his dev taken away, even though he was a second-year player that came in with better. Vaughn's not going to get a chance, in my opinion, so he'll have to earn that. Trey Allen has been pretty bad this year for the Pioneers, so he dropped down. He was a star. Now he's down to normal. Russell Renez, obviously, he's old. Kershaw's another guy, same situation as what I talked about with what's his name? With Ricky Vaughn. Yeah, Ricky Vaughn. And then Mark Hansen. You know, had his opportunity to show, you know, he could be that quarterback to take over for Brady Hudson. Didn't get to do that. At least had it for half this season and gets dropped down. Ellis McCray, he's not touching the field often like that. Andre Thomason honestly should have been lost because he had star dev this whole time and he's 30 plus. Then you have Jacob Haynes not getting any burn there with the Riverhawks. Zay Wright, older guy. Let's see, Armin Holland, another older guy. Saul Leckie, older guy. Bunch of older guys here. Just trying to look to see if there's anybody else that has a different explanation. JP Scott's another one of those rare second-year players. I don't see him touching the field ever, really. Yeah. So this is the list right now, guys. See Jason Lindsley, old. Odds Goda. We got St. LeQuiston. Brown. Let me see. Enrique Garrett. Yeah, this is all. Most of these guys are just old guys. I'm trying to go because I have the full list over here, but since I had to edit the screen in order for you guys to see it by name like how I'm seeing it, it's kind of different when I'm looking at it compared to what you guys are seeing. So I'm trying to go slow so you guys can see these names. And I will be posting this in the Discord. So this will be a Discord exclusive. Miles Kerrigan falling off. Onafashi. Andre Aggers. Yeah. It's a bunch of old guys, man. The Stephen Daly fell off. Rick Chapman. Old goats, man. Now it's time for them to fall off big time. Then the stars, these are the same deal. Irvin Chisholm, it was tough to have him fall off as well, but he just had to because it just wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough for him to keep the development, so he fell off. And Ferreira, Overstreet, we're almost done here. Yep, Vassie Rodenhauser. That's the last of the normal devs. Really nothing too much to talk about there. All right, so we go back up to the top. Now let's go look at the stars, and I'm not going to go through this list, obviously, because the stars got 500, but it's not 500 players that on this, but it's up to 500 players that can be a star. And we got a decent amount. So I'm going to go towards the bottom because what I did is I put an asterisk next to the players that were just recently added. So that's all I'm going to go through here, guys. If everyone else has been a star, so I'm not going to go through that. I'm only going to show you guys the stars that were just recently added. And you see there's a lot of guys on this list. All right, we should be near. All right, you guys see the stars right there. Starts with Sean Dada. Okay, Sean Dada of the Barons has moved up to star. Buki Johnson was granted star because of his career. Yeah, and he's on the Condors, specialist return man. Devin Dean. Another thing to break down the stars on what made players move up is based off of if this player has played in the RFL before and he has shown that he's had potential, right? Within the past to a decent degree, or even just to a decent degree. That was mainly it, or have shown that they were above average in their play a bit, even though they're not doing too much. Pretty much this is a potential thing. If you're showing you have potential, you got that star dev to be a very solid player. That's what I mean by the potential. Devin Dean has moved up. He's been great for the Condors. Tyler Conley has as well. Damian Fox of the Desperados. Got Reggie Craig. He honestly should have been that at the beginning of the season. There were a couple guys that I did not have the time to go to fix, to add on to star from normal. And he was one of those guys. Elijah Payne of the Elks has moved up. Deshaun Bass, Elks moved up. Cameron Ross, I'm shocked that he wasn't. This guy was normal. He's from the Elks as well. Christian Nash is one of those guys. He doesn't get burned like that. Well, he does get some opportunities with the Explorers, but in his opportunities, he showed that he's got some serious potential when he was with the Bulldogs. So that's another guy. Christian Williams has shown he's got potential, so I gave him the dev. Devin Andrews, Larry Cruz has definitely done that. Justin Uran. These are all names, of course, I'm going to agree with because that's why I moved them up. Caven Martin. Levi Marks has really shown that this year, but it looks like he's going to have to take a back seat and lose this at the end of the year because they literally just signed Rashad. Blinking on his name. He was with the Bulls, so now he's not with them no more. But I know his first name is Rashad. We got William Jackson. He's shown potential definitely in the past. He's been playing for some years. Still a young guy. Jamal Claiborne of the Thunderbirds. You had Isaiah Mosley of the Tigers moving up to star. Joseph Pankston. Devin Flores. Mahi Watson. Joshua Moore. Zoe Sheffield. Shout out to Zoe. Second year player and getting those opportunities. So and he's been making some plays. So I feel like he should at least be a star dev wide receiver. Then we got Armin Rudolph, which I'm not sure if he's 20, I believe he's 28, so he's hanging on by a thread. He was a superstar. And we had Carlos Bridges, who I'm surprised wasn't that. Lumbee Easy as well, surprised wasn't at a star. I forgot to put the asterisk next to him. Anthony Connell, Ike Page of the Bulldogs. We had Ashland Boyd of the Cougars. He's obviously shown he's got potential. He just hasn't been able to get the opportunities much. Kick return, he's been great. Kick and punt return, any return, he's been great. Brady Knight, honestly, this guy's got a serious case for potentially moving up to superstar, depending on how the rest of the season goes, I guess. It's a lot. You still get there for him, but he's got a chance. Philly Jones, definitely another guy. Matt Jones, moved him up just off his career. He was at a normal, and he's definitely shown he's had potential in the league at above average. Then we had Benjamin Kuhn of the Dreadnoughts. Anthony Savoy, he was a normal. He got dropped down to normal. He used to be a superstar, but then he fell, and then he's played good enough to get back up to at least a star, and he'll have to earn that superstar back, of course, throughout his play over the years. Jet Skyback has shown that. Hasn't been able to play, I don't think, much at all this year, but definitely a potential back. Trey Cook. Then we got Mason Maynard and John Walton. So those are your new stars that have jumped up in the RFL devs. Now we'll move on to superstars, new superstars in the RFL. Like I said, anybody with an asterisk next to their name. has done it. There might be a couple guys I passed by too because this list was kind of unorganized at times, and there's some guys on Superstar that's missing. Like there's DJ Scott has dropped down to this, dropped down to Superstar. Huskies running back Corey Leonidas has dropped down to Superstar. Decent amount of running backs dropped down to Superstar. Don't have those all off the top of my head. I will add those to this and then post that in the Discord. But CJ Core was an X Factor. He dropped down. Jesse Newhouser also was an X Factor. He dropped down. Joseph Gidley has dropped down from an X Factor quarterback now down to star. Of course, the reason behind that is simply because last year he led the league in picks, had over 20. He's already got 10 plus 10 right now, and so he seems to be on a downward decline. So he's got to earn that X Factor back, man. Kark Jagier hasn't been able to do too much for the Condors this year. He's new. Zachary Dombrowski fell down. You see what's going on with the Gunners. He's not really making much of an impact, so he had to fall. Lane Kearney was already there. Holden Wolf was already there. I was looking at first. Langford Cloud had the potential of going to X Factor, but when I looked at his numbers, even though he's contributed a lot to the Black Knights, he just still needs to do more. I think that's the ones. Yeah, I think now we can move down to the asterisks because everyone else were stars. Let me see, Brandon McCullough. Yep. All right, here we go. Starting with Jordy Johnson. Jordy Johnson has upgraded to superstar. If you've been watching him play for the Armadillos, dude's been balling. Deserves it. So he is moving up. Calvin Lunsford was already on this list, which is why he doesn't have the asterisk. Same thing for Maxwell. Charles Raymond has moved up. He was actually regressing. I dropped him down, I believe, to normal. But he's up there in sacks, leading the league, top 5. So old veteran who's been a beast off the edge continues to be a beast. Hey, get that superstar back, man. He got that. Kilo Austin was able to jump up to superstar. He's having a phenomenal season right now to start out. We got Trey Sinclair. He's been on here. Markel Wilcox. This was a guy, honestly, he wasn't here to begin with because we ran out of space. When I first made this list, wasn't enough space for him. But he's definitely deserving of being a superstar safety. So now he is in that category. Griffin Whiteside, who's already won. J.J. Vaughn. Look at this. J.J. Vaughn and Jake Pride. I could not deny. This means the Steamers with Reed Wagner has 3 ability wide receivers all starting. Romeo Jackson as an X Factor. J.J. Vaughn and Jake Pride as a superstar. But they've earned it, man. They have earned it. And this isn't something that's happened just for a year. This is something that's happened for a few seasons. Remember, if you don't remember back in season 6, all 3 of these wide receivers made the Pro Bowl. So it's about their time. Trey McClellan on the Lancers is a dog. 2 consecutive years where he's just been on people's heads no matter what the coverage is. So he has jumped up. Cecil Austin was already a superstar. Piku McCullough, this was a guy who was once an X Factor. He's a high overall wide receiver that people don't talk about because he's had down years for like 2-3 years. Last year he got a little bit better. This year he's doing really well with Lane Kearney over there with the Diablos. And so now he's played definitely well enough to the point where he deserves to at least be a superstar. So he got a superstar up there. Dante Floyd and Antoine Buck was already there. Gave a superstar to Reese Goodall because this guy was already balling at the linebacker position. Coach moved him to safety. And then at the safety position, I honestly feel like he's playing better than he was at the linebacker. So he got a superstar development for that. Sheldon Reinhardt jumped up to a superstar as well. He's an old veteran, but he's been playing some really good lockdown football. And then JT Casey, he's been there. Isaac Lockhart has jumped up as well. So now you got two ability players on the outside for the Bulldogs now. You got the X Factor and Shaq Tiller and the superstar now and Isaac Lockhart, which means it's going to be locked down on the outsides when you play those Bulldogs for the most part. But I mean, he deserves it as well. He's proved that he can strap things up. All right, and so now we move on to the X factors, which obviously is not going to be much that jump up from this category, but here are the X factor players that have moved up. We have, okay, they're not showing, yeah, everything. This is easy. Okay, this is it. Xavier May's been an X factor. Tom Wilson has finally moved up to X factor. So this guy deserves it, man. It was tough even not giving him an X factor when I was first making this list, but it was too many good guys at the moment. And now Tom Wilson, he's still balling, and he deserves to be an X factor quarterback, and he's up there now. Darius Martin, dog. Elks are undefeated. This is the reason why. This guy's a beast. And so Darius Martin gets the X factor. I have DeAndre Wilkins Jr. down here because I was actually considering dropping him down to superstar because he was not playing too well this year. So there's a good chance he could fall down. He's got to. What saved him was his last game this week against the Cougars. If he didn't have that game, I was dropping him down to superstar. So I'm letting you know right now, Tor, get your boy right. Some kind of way, try your best. If not, then he's gonna be falling. But yeah. Those are all the players that have moved up in devs, moved down in devs, things of that nature. And it's going to be even more stricter when we get to the end of the season. This is just the mid-season things. Older guys are going to get hit more harder. A lot of stuff more taken away depending on what the situation is, who really needs to go up, things like that. So I'm even taking away stars from guys next year. Yeah, more strict. You get what I'm saying? I don't know why I said stricter. But anyway, it's going to be a lot more strict for guys to be able to maintain their devs. But this is the second half of the season where these guys have to prove it. All right? And we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. But that is it for the devs. We'll now get to the final part before open questions, which is fun facts with Pat. And he's got 4 questions this week. Question number 1, which player has set new career benchmarks, okay, of 12,000 rushing yards and 100 rushing touchdowns? Back, if you're here, just put close for me like you did last time. Answer has already been solved. I can see it right there. So shout out to Connor Jameson. He got it right. Trey Worsley. Obviously, he was leading the. I don't know why anybody would think anybody else. I mean, Trey Worsley's been here since season 1. He's the all-time leading running back. And he still consistently puts up 1,000+ yards. So yeah, Trey Worsley has 100. He's the first running back, I believe. Is he the only one, Pat? Let me know. I think might be the only one to have 100 rushing yards in his career. Rushing touchdowns in his career, I mean. This guy's got more. I think he's got better numbers than LaShawn McCoy in his career. To be honest, that's crazy. So, yeah. Question number 2. Who is the first NRC player to reach 1,000 career tackles? Oh, wow, guys is on it today. Shout out to Chris Polk. Zachary Dombrowski is the correct answer to have 1,000 career tackles. He was once in the ARC, so I guess that's an advantage. And then, of course, the first to do it in the ARC right now who has 1,000 is Brett Rattay. So he's already reached that. All right, question number 3. Explorers coach Bill Nicholson holds the record with 71 career wins. Which coach is in second place? Smitty would be number 1. And the correct answer is by Alvin Mack. Is Coach Armstrong the longest tenured coach so far in the RFL? I've been here since, I believe it was season 3. No, because he benched. Yeah, it was season 3. Might have been season. When was this? When did you come in, Tor? Because whatever year Reed Wagner wasn't on the Sentinels no more. I think it was season 3. That was the year that Tor showed up. Got rid of him ASAP. Oh man. My camera just ended. But let me go ahead and put this back up. All right, I'm back. I probably got double voice right now. I just fixed that. All right, yeah. Coach O'Brien is close to you, man. 4 wins. And he's got a tough schedule this year, so O'Brien might catch him. You say, I got this. Yeah. So, question number 4. Who had 2 pick-6 touchdowns the last time the Voyagers played the Red Dragons? This might be one where Pat wins. We'll see. I guess it's technically season 8 related because they are playing this week. Ten. 9. Oh, look, somebody got it. And shout out to Luis Cardenas. Correct answer. Carlos Gint, who's now, who's with the Voyagers. They won 44-25 last year in week 7. All right. So there's a winner for all 4 questions. How about that? Shout out to the guys. All right. Yeah, it ended up not needing you anyway, back, I guess. I'll put the top 10 power rankings if anybody wants to bring this up. But at this point, open questions, man. Guys got anything to ask me? Ask away. Now I'll be on here for till 11 o'clock. So 10 minutes right now up to this point. See, how close was Marlon Marshall to getting a dev upgrade? Still not close. Rookie season, right? He didn't play that well. He was given an opportunity to be the feature back. Wasn't ready for it. This year he's balling. I mean, I'm not going to give guys devs until they really prove it, especially on that level. Like, it's much easier to get a star dev than it is going to be to get a superstar and an X factor. I'll put it that way. Despite how good he's playing, I mean, he's going to really have to ball out, finish this year. And I don't even think, I was thinking about it if he kept it going, but even at the end of this year, he might not get it. He'll probably get it next year, halfway if he keeps it going. No, he's already a star dev. Said, can I get superstar Spitty? Nah, not in my opinion. Not at this point. The star dev is more suited for you. You just really have to make a ton of plays, man, to get that superstar, move up like that, be here for a while. You know what I'm saying? Like Markel Wilcox, he's made his plays. I wanted him to be a superstar since last year, but based off the players that were balling at that time that was taking up the space, I was like, man, I can't make no space for him. But now I can. So he got in there. It's gonna be tough for safeties to make it. Like, you really gotta be making some plays at safety position to get that, to be honest. He said, why would somebody year 1 younger with 300 less rushing yards and get dropped down like Dre? One bottom one. You said with 300 less yards, who are you referring to, Q? Say, which guys are on the bubble to move to superstar? Well, I talked about DWJ. So he's on the verge of dropping. Let me see if I'm looking at this list here. We don't see nobody really falling. Yeah, the X factors are looking pretty solid, to be honest. I don't see a reason for these guys to even be close, unless they like fall off bad the second half of the season. But these guys are pretty much clear cut. There's a chance DeAndre Cain could. There's a chance for him, so he could fall to superstar. Chase Schilling. And some of these older guys might fall off because of age. Chase Schilling's actually young, so. Is it Jonathan Gage? Jonathan Gage is balling. Yeah, I really don't see nobody but maybe those two falling off from X Factor with DWJ and DeAndre Cain. All right, let me go read the edit. All right. Let me just catch up where I was. So I gave my talk about that. Oh, you said moving up to superstar. Well, look to the X Factor. Well, I guess I could hurry up look at that real fast. So let's do superstar then. Who's at the star who can move up? Locker fell down from that's a guy I didn't mention. Denard Locker fell from superstar to star now. He's 28, so he still could get the star. Still could work with it. None of these names right now. Yeah, Isaiah Streets still need to do more. Yeah, a lot of these guys still need to prove a lot more first before moving up. I don't see any name that's like really doing that. Maybe Michael Afriyie. He's a dog. He's a dog at linebacker, but he still needs to finish out this year. Obviously, I still don't see him getting it at the end of this year. Maybe most likely. Yeah, I don't see anybody yet. Xavier Eves, that's one. He could still slim chance for him, but he had a solid rookie season, and then he's balling right now. He got 4 of his 6 picks though in one game. So I'm like, still gotta make some plays. If he continues to make plays like this, then there's a good chance he could. Let me see who else. We talked about Marlon Marshall, what he has to do. So now, Q-Pop, nah. I think Laquavius Machiavelli, I could see him earning it midway through next season. If he finishes out strong, next season comes out on that same deal, I could see him moving up. Alexander Colt is one too. I could see him potentially getting at the end of the season. Juan Chaney won't. I mean, he's balling, but he's got to do more than just the end of this year to get that. Oh, Mason Dunn. That tight end of the Elks is something else. There. Told y'all, man, it's not a lot. It's gonna be hard to move up from this stage to the next. That's only a few names out of all these names. How long is this list? Oh man, we got a ton. I don't want to kill all the questions. Yeah, so I just gave you guys a few. So let me go back to answering these questions. So what's your thoughts on the Dillos not finding the end zone inside of the red zone 3 times? I just feel like the Bisons played very well. Good defense, and then Chumlee was just really off. In my personal opinion, I think next time they play, Dillo should win. This was a bad game by Chumlee. And they probably just should have had better plays called at that moment. And, that's just the game, though. Times you're going to get what you get. I think play calling could be better next time they play. So, it's tough, but I know they're capable of scoring down there. He said, can you get reloads for the tour question 2? Answer. I know I'm probably far back. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Connor. So please answer Q question, Smitty. Where's the question? I think that was how far is Marlon Marshall away, I guess. Okay. So which week 10 premier games are getting flexed? There ain't no games getting flexed until the last 3 weeks. I already told y'all about that. See, I don't want to say no names, man. That's line. We could pull up names, man. We could pull up names. I got a reason behind all of my reasons for guys jumping up and why the guys fell down as well. Find a user, it doesn't matter. If it ain't a user, it doesn't. So y'all gotta scrap over reload. For that X. But I don't want to. He said, if it ain't a user, it don't matter. I must be too far behind on that. That's why I don't want to. Okay, let me get caught up on the chat first. Get caught up on the chat. It says there's questionable promotions and demotions, but in Smitty we trust. Yeah, I mean, think about it like this, y'all. Y'all are not me, which is why I never care about what anybody's opinion is. If I'm the commissioner and it's my duty to come up with what the devs is, I'm going to do it. At the end of the day, I know some people going to be salty, some people ain't going to like it, but at the end of the day, my perspective is my perspective. And this is what I think of certain players. It's how they're doing based off how their career is going, what stage of their career are they at to drop off, how great of a career they had up to that point to hold the devs. There's a lot of different factors. It's a different situation for different players all the time. And so I'm not worried about, what people's opinions are, or who went up or who went down. Dudes ain't going to be perfect, but they're perfect in my eyes. At the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. I feel like whoever got moved up, whoever got moved down, they proved to me that that's what they're supposed to do. It's kind of the same thing when people talk about sliders, right? It's like, there's really no real such thing as a great, excellent pair of sliders for real, and some terrible ones, because it's all about perspective. Not everybody's going to agree with you. Some people are going to say it's good. Some people are going to say it's bad. But when you're the head of it, you're the one that makes the decisions. Nobody else. So, I gave my reasons. I could talk to you all day about why I feel like this player should have did this, or, why they went up, why they went down. And I'm going to have my reason behind everything that I do. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I did this and, not have a reason on why I did it. I don't play my feel. I don't just play my feelings into it. Of course, a feeling is most what's going to happen anyway, but I'm not, just because I don't like a certain player or I don't like a certain team, or some people project that. I love all my teams, even the ones that's coached. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I will try to beat the coaches because it's fun to me, with those CPU teams, but I love all my teams. There's no favoritism at all. My favorite team in relocation teams is the Dreadnoughts. I've been said that since I started this thing. Dreadnoughts is my favorite team, but I don't care if none of my teams win a championship. I don't care if, a coach team win a championship. I just want it to be a good season. That's all I care about. I just want games to be fun. I want the league to be lit. I want stuff to make sense as much as possible. And that's all I care about. Of course I'm going to be going in on CPU teams because I want them to play at their best. Before I didn't. So now I'm making up for that. And you know what I mean, I'm putting some beat downs on some coaches, but it's like once again, it's not like I'm not losing some games as well, you know. But you know, that's all it is. It's perspective, bro. Like I ain't worried about what y'all think about it. Y'all have to deal with. You know what I mean? I'm your commissioner, so you choose to deal with. You don't like it, you already know what to do. Go ahead and sign out. But yeah. Let me go ahead and see what's going on here. Let me go all the way caught up first, guys, and then it's so many questions that go by. You know, I'm not too fast with this. So I'll ask Smitty, why did DJ keep his X Factor but Shivers DJ? Who are you talking about? I don't even talk about Daryl Johnson. David Jones. It's an age thing. That's an age thing for the most part. I mean, Shivers is 31 years old. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, even since last year, he's been in that 3-yard per carry average. You know? So, he said a year younger. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, he is younger. And what is he? Is he 29 or 30? I think he is 30. I mean, but at the end of the day, he is just, I feel like at this point, he's more of an X Factor player for his team than what Shivers is, right? Because Shivers, don't get me wrong, he's a dog, bro. He's been a dog throughout his career. But like I said, even going back since last season, he was okay. He was okay. You know what I'm saying? He was great, but he had a lot of games where he just was getting stuff. And I understand teams are playing him a lot, but I just feel like DJ is a better player. He's a better running back than Shivers is. That's in my opinion. You know. Yeah, I'm about to say, I know that can't be wrong. Yeah, I'm about to say, ain't no way that David Jones is 30. He shouldn't be. Yeah, okay. Had me up here thinking I was wrong. But yeah. But even if he wasn't, I do feel like David Jones is a better running back than Shivers at this point. And then he's 31. He's going on the slower end. And nobody should really take an X Factor to a superstar drop off too bad, because I mean, you still got abilities. You just don't got that X Factor. You know what I'm saying? It's still gonna be effective. But that means it's a lot of pressure on you to keep it. That means your dude's gonna need to start eating. So I bet, he said, I'm going to bet Smitty I get superstar. Stop with these bets, Hodge. You bet it on a touchdown. You ain't get that. I'm gonna play the bell for you again. Oh, my man is bread. But yeah, had to get at him real quick. He said it's 3 in career rushing yards. David Jones is 4. Yeah, I mean, and what's it called? Shivers has been here longer than Jones as well. He said, you paid it back too. Took my 20 and paid it back. So, I mean, you know, don't be salty over it, but, you know, it is what it is. I ain't worried. He said, Jones is a beast for sure at running back, but I'm just thinking if you're biasing it off of the year, it's kind of confusing. It happened. The year. Nah, to me, it's not really, and everybody, even if you're going to have some implicit bias, so that, you know, everyone has it, you know what I'm saying? But I don't feel like this had anything to do with that. David Jones is, in my opinion, is a better back than Dre Shivers, and he's younger. So, you know, at this stage, he deserves to be able to keep it for the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that it's not like he's secure either, because David Jones, he's doing all right. But, you know, say for instance, if he keeps doing what he's doing now, he ain't doing too much, he might lose it. He could drop to superstar. You know, so, you know, a couple guys got saved off their careers. Some didn't. Some just couldn't, you know. So I'm just, I said bashing. I thought it's, my bad. Yeah, I mean, Shivers is a dog either way, man. that ain't really too much to worry about. So performance and age is the basis, I think. Yeah. And so it's like if you're young and you know what I mean, of course, when I see an older guy and he's not playing up to his performance like that, man, it's time for regression, man. Once you get in them 30s, get past that 30 age, it's time for other dudes to fall in that spot. And that's another thing that's going to help us with this inflation going on in the league with overalls, which isn't too bad yet, as long as we continue to do things like this. So that's going to help kill all that off. And, it's not like Dre Shivers haven't played 8 years as a running back in this league either. You know what I mean? I'm just bringing up Dre Shivers because that's who we were just recently talking about. But, like, a lot of backs have been here since season 1, man. That there's a lot of great Hall of Fame running backs that's played like 8 seasons in the NFL, and they regret that was it for their career. So they're just now starting regression here. So yeah, it ain't gonna be as bad as most people think. And if you're high overall and you lose that, I mean, you're still a high overall, man. You might get hit a little hard with the regression, but your overall is still mad high. So you're still going to have a baller on your team regardless. Things will look different, though, if you lose abilities altogether, though. I will tell you that. Regression going to hit with that going. Yeah, but sometimes, people say that too, and there's a higher chance of that happening, but there's also a good chance that your guy might not get hit with nothing like that. I mean, like, look at London Lions, man. This guy is 33 years old. I mean, he's mid-80s, but, like, honestly, like, he could have been hit with, if we're really going off of that, he could have been hit way harder. He did have Dev, though, but there's a couple guys. I mean, he dropped down to superstar as well, and we'll see how this year goes. I think he's going to get hit pretty hard, but some guys don't get touched. Some guys at times just do not get touched. I mean, there was literally a running back, I think, in the file that was like 40 years old, mid-80s overall. I guess it can happen in Madden. And it's not an RFL team, though. That was an NFL team. So the game can have that happen. All right, I know I went over my time, but I could go 5 more minutes if I missed any questions. So I gotta add the T one day. Yeah, I'm too far back. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm never gonna just make something change for no reason with no explanation, man. Like I said, it may not to some people make sense, but at the end of the day, I'm the guy that gotta make the decisions, right? So that's why I don't understand why people complain sometimes about other things, and stuff that happen in the league. It's like, if you got a problem with it, then what are you doing here? Like, this is my position to make those decisions. I made my decision. Now you got a problem. Oh, you got a problem? Bounce. You see, you said for safety, it's harder to get devved up. What makes it harder? Well, it's hard because there's a lot of times where safeties within Madden don't get tried often. So it's like you got to make a lot of plays. Like, the deflections aren't going to help you out too much either. So you got to get picks. You got to somehow find a way to make other impact plays like tackles for losses, even getting sacks, forcing fumbles. Garrison Ash, clear-cut, easy X factor. Like, making plays like that. I'm not saying everybody has that capability, but he's a dog at the safety position. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what I mean. Like, there's safeties that go out and make plays like that, and that's how you get up. Gotta make interceptions, gotta force fumbles, gotta get sacks, gotta make TFLs, gotta be all over the place, gotta be leading your team in tackles, and that's without being on a terrible defense. There's been some safeties that's led their team in tackles, playing in the box and things like that, and they have dogs on their team, and they still up there and making tackles. So stuff like that. He said there are 2 8 p.m. Saturday games. No, I must got a typo somewhere. Yeah, I forgot to change Yeah, I'm gonna go edit that schedule before I post it because I only got it on here. So I'm gonna go edit that schedule for you guys. Then I'm gonna post that. Then yeah. Let me see. Justice for Lewis. Who is Lewis? Oh, you talking about this lineman? Get out of here, Forbes. I think one of them is 6. Yeah. So everything is right up until, well, the Gunners and Barons game is actually at 6. It's not at 8 like that thing has. And everything's good. Yeah. Everything else is good. Yeah, because that's at 8 p.m. That's at 8 p.m. Yeah. So it's only the Gunners and Barons game that's off. That's at 6. Everything else is correct. Gunners and Barons is on Saturday. That's your soup. Hold up, is it? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's still the same game that's off. Yeah. So that's actually at 6. And everything else is correct. Yep. I don't know who Morris Justice is. Like, nah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Keith. All right. Yeah, so I guess I'll stay 2 more minutes literally here for 11:15. No more time beyond that. So if you guys got any more questions, lay them on me before I roll out. Been about a 3-hour bid here. Well, it's going to be 2 because, yeah. No questions. All right. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you guys tuning in the RFL podcast as always, man. Appreciate you guys for, asking your questions. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the podcast. And, hey, week 9 starts tomorrow, man. We've reached the midway part of the season. And last question here. Wood says, Coach of the Year midseason. You don't get midseason awards, my guy. So, yeah, have that bell rolling. Oh, man, I got to have the bell for pressing the wrong slide. But anyway, yeah, I'm out of here. Peace. Here I go again, pressing the wrong slide. There you go.